Alright, we should be going live now. Welcome everyone, this is On Just Restart, and I am joined by Brandon from What About Nintendo, and today we're going to be talking about the recent rumors about Scalebound maybe coming to the Nintendo Switch, and also we're going to be going over the Nintendo... What are we talking about? What is it? The Nintendo Direct, right, thank you. And, yeah, we're going to be grading it, kind of giving our impressions on it, how good we think it is. Some people think it was great, some people think it was bad. Well, we're gonna, we think, and we're gonna talk about everything in there, and then we're also gonna be kind of going into like the 2019 outlook, by like what does this Nintendo Direct mean for the rest of 2019? How is the lineup of games looking? And well, I feel like that's a fair bit to talk about in one night. I think it's probably gonna cover.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff there.
Yeah, probably like a couple hours. So.
We know ourselves. We give ourselves 1-2 big topics, and we're just on. It's on, dude.
Yeah,
we're ready to go. We can talk all day.
Yeah, indeed. So I see Mastermind is here. Sup, man? How you doing? Are you still at work? That's all right. But yeah. So I'm gonna wait a few minutes before we jump into Scalebound and so we can talk about that. But I guess we could talk about like the demos we've been playing recently, right? So I got a chance to play Daemon X Machina, I got a chance to play Yoshi's Crafted World, and technically Tetris 99 is not a demo, and I've been playing a lot of that too, and it's been pretty good. So I've been having a good time with that. But, of those games, which ones have you enjoyed the most?
Which ones have I enjoyed the most? I have to say, I guess Tetris, because I feel like Yoshi was it was like the first level, so it was like super easy, not super creative, but you can kind of get the idea of what's going on. And then Daemon X Machina needs some work. Also, I didn't get any power-ups that were super fun. I heard that there's lots of like super speedy ones you can get and like super cool weapons, and I just didn't happen to get them. So I was kind of using the basic stuff, so it wasn't like the most fun apparently that game can be. On Tetris, it's just Tetris, so you just have fun. So I feel like that was probably the one I enjoyed the most, because I feel like I need to get the full game of Yoshi to really enjoy that and get into it. And then Daemon X Machina, I need to like find some better power-ups, because I felt very, very slow. There's some other issues that we'll go over.
I kind of agree with you when it comes to Daemon X Machina. So the thing about it is that, yeah, you can upgrade your suit, your mobile suit, your Gundam, whatever you want to call it, the mech, or I guess in the game they call it the arsenal, right? Like, you can upgrade that throughout the game, but when you first start, it does feel kind of slow. And I just kind of want things to go a little faster. Like, I want to be able to just fly and just just do everything really quickly and move about really quickly and get into a lot of the action. But your movement does feel a little limited. Like when I boost, I really want to boost, right? And the boost is just kind of like a minor acceleration. I use it to like dodge, and I guess it works, but I guess I just want it to be a little faster. I want it, I want to feel more of an oomph, and I feel like it's lacking in that oomph. And maybe it's just me, maybe I forgot to check the options. It probably should be defaulted anyway, but there was no rumble. Did you notice that?
I think mine had rumble.
I didn't.
I don't remember it specifically. Oh no, maybe that was Yoshi. Yeah, I don't remember.
Yoshi definitely has HD rumble. Definitely, yeah, it feels really nice. There's a fair bit of tactile feedback there. Daemon X Machina is missing it, and I feel like if you put in that rumble, it'll definitely make it feel more like give it that oomph, right? Like I feel like I was doing things and it didn't feel satisfactory. Like, when you do something in a game and you feel that satisfaction, like when you smash somebody in Smash Brothers and they fly off the screen, like you get a sense of satisfaction from doing that. In Daemon X Machina, with all of the actions, there's just something missing there that I don't quite feel it, Yeah,
so, it's kind of, and something inherently about the way you like attack enemies is kind of just dull. Like, you just kind of point in their general direction and hold down the button, or if you don't have an automatic weapon, you can tap the trigger. And it's like, I'm not really aiming. It's just kind of going.
I was under the impression I had to get them under the reticule, but you really just have to kind of get him in the big circle, and it is basically just hits him. That's the way it felt.
Which I guess I tried actually to just get them in the reticle, but the controls were so clunky that I'm like, well, I guess I'm glad that this is this way, because there's no way I hit any of these shots.
Yeah,
it didn't feel like you could control it very well either. And I tried playing with like the settings, and I was like, and then I stopped as soon as I realized, oh wait, it doesn't even matter because the shots just target them. So
yeah,
the first level was so boring. Like I was bored.
The other thing that bothered me, I've only done the first 2 levels, but I've also, you know, I decked out, I explored the hangar, and I detailed my stuff, and I upgraded my stats a little bit. But I know there's at least 1 more level for me to play. There might be more.
I think there's 4 levels in the demo.
Okay, cool. So I still have a couple more levels to play. But like, I think like one thing that sort of bothered me was when you press L to shoot the rockets from behind, like not your 2 armed weapons, but the shoulder weapon. There's like a delay. Like it doesn't happen immediately. Which also kind of annoys me. Like, if it doesn't happen...
I remember that being an issue. I remember there being, like, lock-on or something.
No, it locks on. It's just very slow. Like, I wish... And I understand it. It comes out and it all sort of converges onto the target. But, like, it doesn't even come out the moment I press it. So it would be nice... I don't feel... Whenever I do certain actions, I don't feel the response for it. I see it happen.
Yeah, I did notice, like, sometimes I'd be holding it down and I wouldn't notice that it needed to reload. And it'd just be like, oh, why is this up? Oh, I need to let go and then hold it down to reload. And it just doesn't feel like you're in super control. It feels very automated, like, okay, now I need to let go of the button. Now I need to hold the button. And it's like, it's not fun.
Right, so, like... And the thing is, I'm not trying to say Daemon X Machina won't be a good game. I think it's good that they put this product out there so we can test it out. And I hope they take it to heart and they make the changes needed. Because I feel like if they do... I think this game could be a really good game. Like, when I'm playing, I like the concept of it. I think the mechanics of it could be good. They just need to be tinkered with and polished. Like, you add the HD Rumble, you know, speed up the actions a little bit. Maybe the starting point should be a little bit faster than what it is now. Also, the tutorial system, maybe make it a bit more clear. Like, when I started the game, I didn't know what to do. It said, oh, you should, you know, you need to figure something out. Like, I wish they had, like, a prompt on the screen that said, oh, maybe go here. Like, I had to figure it out. I wasn't sure if I was doing the thing it wanted me to do. Like,
because the first cutscene, you walk up to a terminal and you kind of interact with it, and then you stop, and it's like, oh, I'm not supposed to interact with this anymore. I gotta go find something else to interact with. And then I'm walking around, like, clicking on things, like, this isn't working. And I'm like, wait, I ran back, and I clicked on it again, and it interacted. I'm like, why did I stop interacting with this if I needed to interact with it again?
Exactly. It's the only thing you can interact with. Like, I was just like, all right, where am I supposed to go now? Right?
I was, like trying to run up to my mech, see if I could, like, press a button to get into it, like, directly. And I was like, what's that? Why can't I do anything?
Another thing that kind of annoyed me was when you're customizing your character, it took me forever to find a way to finish. Like,
oh really? I didn't know that problem.
Yeah, it took me. So I just think they need to work on the UI a little bit so if people can understand it a little bit better. Maybe put a couple more prompts on screen for the tutorials just so it's more clear where you're supposed to go, and speed up the movement a little bit, the baseline of the game. And also maybe work on... Well, one, they need to add HD Rumble. Like, the game needs to have HD Rumble. Yeah. I think that will go a long way towards making things feel...
Even like, indie games have HD Rumble. Every game on Switch should have HD Rumble.
Right, exactly. So, I think that'll go a long way towards adding that impact, that oomph that I want. They may need to do a little bit more than that. Maybe there's just something... Maybe it is just that. I feel like it's probably more than just that, though, because I can play a game without it rumble, and I'm not like, oh, something's missing here, right? Like,
it would be nice though if it like rumbled for every shot, and maybe like it did a different rumble for like when you're out of ammo, so you know to reload, and different things like that. And I think my big problem is that it feels like I'm just kind of floating there and holding down a button most of the time, and I don't like that. Like most first-person shooters, you're moving around constantly, you're aiming, you're making sure you hit all your shots. And this, I'm just kind of like float to where the enemies are, hold down the button, watch them die, go to the next place, float there, hold down the button, watch them die. It's like, I want to actually aim. I don't want so many lock-on things.
Yeah, and maybe even the base movement speed of the mech isn't that bad, but the boost is not that strong. Like, they just need to do something to, like, make it a little faster, make it feel like the shooting is... There's something there. They probably should... I do agree with you. There needs to be something done about the aiming, right? Like, there's something about it that just doesn't feel right. I don't know what it is.
Feel like you actually have to aim. It just feels like they need to be generally close-ish to the middle of the screen. You're good.
Right. At first, I thought it would be hard, and it was actually easy. So I wonder if, like, that was their way to make up for it. They just made targets really easy to hit because of their aiming system, which it's kind of feels like they're putting a band-aid on a giant laceration. Like, probably should go back and fix the aiming system instead of just making it really easy to hit targets.
Gyro controls would be great. Gyro controls with like normal first-person shooters would be dope. Like when I play like let's say Anthem, and I know Anthem isn't like the best game in the world, but at least it controls. The way it controls is very great because the people who make it know first-person shooters and they make them for a long time. And that game feels great. When you're in your mech, you're flying around, you're aiming, and it feels like a first-person shooter, but you can fly. Like it feels great. This does not feel good.
I agree with that. Adding gyro aiming would work, especially because for some people they're not able to use the right analog stick while pressing the face buttons. I can do that. Not everyone can. But even then, with gyro aiming, I could put more effort into like boosting and jumping while looking around at the same time. So adding a gyro aiming will definitely make that better. So I guess like some bullet points, right, for what they can change. Improve the UI a little bit so it's easier to understand. A couple more tutorial prompts to make it a bit more clear what we're supposed to do in the beginning. Add HD rumble, right, to make all of the movements and shooting feel a lot better. Add gyro aiming to speed up the aiming a bit, and maybe spruce up the targeting system a little bit more.
Right. Also fix the frame rate because it's not the best.
Right, but I feel like that'll happen just throughout the course of development.
Yeah. From what I hear, apparently it's probably a build from like last E3.
It looks like the E3 build. Like it's the same levels from E3.
Apparently it's like version 0.01 or something. It's like really old. So it's definitely not very new. Another issue I have, which I don't know if they'll fix this or not, is like there's destruction and destructible buildings, but you're told not to destroy them. So I'm like, oh, I want to blow stuff up because it's cool and I'm an awesome mech. And then I was like, wait, don't blow stuff up because then you cost your money and then you lose points. And I'm like, what? I want to blow things up. I want to destroy them. I want to destroy everything because I'm in a badass robot suit.
Did it mean the environment or did it mean you?
No. If it's buildings and stuff. If you break a building
that's only during the first mission, though, right?
No, it's every mission that I was in. If you break a building, it takes money out of your score to pay for the building. Because technically you're in civilian territory. It's like I want missions where I'm in like enemy territory and I can blow up. But maybe they do have missions. You know, we don't have the full games. Maybe they have missions where you go into enemy territory and you can just blow everything up. But so far, all the missions have been like civilian territory. So you're like, don't blow anything up. I'm like, I have this crazy awesome mech, and I can throw cars and break light poles and bash them into people's faces, but I can't break the buildings. Like,
right.
No, that's counterintuitive.
Yeah. Another thing, and I don't know if this will change, the aesthetic of the game is very red and orange. I don't know if that's just the beginning of the game or if the entire game is going to be very red and orange.
What I've seen in different cutscenes, there's different colors in different areas. Not cutscenes, but trailers and stuff. I remember there being like different colors for different areas, and it's like dependent on the mood or something. They said they liked using red for like tension or something. I don't know. I remember seeing like green colored areas and like yellow colored areas in the trailers, but I don't know how prevalent those are or if I'm even remembering correctly. But yeah, I remember that being something I found odd, and I was like, oh, weird. There's just mostly red.
Yeah. I don't like it.
Overall, though, I found myself, honestly, I didn't like the demo. I found myself not having fun most of the time. and only having I have fun like 20% of the time, and then the rest of it I was just like, I got bored.
The game gives me a Xenoblade X vibe, which I love. Like I like that it is, you know, live action, not live action, but real time. I like the music. I like the direction. I do wish the colors were handled a little differently, but I like what the game is going for overall. It's just lacking in polish, which I mean,
yeah, it is.
What I'm saying is, I think the game could be really good.
Mm.
Maybe, if they actually take the critiques to heart and they use this time to fix all of those little issues. If they do that, it could be a good game.
My biggest issue is just the way that the gun handle, because it's not fun to fight things. If they can make it fun to fight things, I think all the other issues, they should be addressed as well, but they're not nearly as big as just the fact that playing the game is not fun.
Maybe they should make the guns more over the top.
Yeah.
Like I've played, I remember
you need to aim like normal guns instead of aiming in the general direction of things and holding down a button. Like I want it to feel like any other first-person shooter in that aspect. It can be different in other places and be unique, but not here. Like, don't make your actual like base shooting this weird like auto aiming thing that's not fun. Like, if you're gonna change it, at least make it something that's fun. Like, I don't feel like I'm controlling my character. I feel like my character is controlling me, I guess, the guns. And I feel like I don't have much input. They're just kind of like, I'm like, hold the button and watch things blow up.
Moving around isn't very intuitive either.
I found that okay. Like, it wasn't bad, but yeah, they could definitely tighten up the control.
It's serviceable. Like, it's serviceable. But what I really mean is that, like, when you look around the environment, like, it's just kind of like, I don't know, it's not as fun to move around. It doesn't feel fun to fly around. Why? It should be awesome. You know what I mean?
I feel like it felt pretty fun when I was playing like level 4 and there was a giant robot. It felt fun to there was like an open space, you could fly around there. You do need to be faster though, especially like you can like get on the ground and like skate around.
Maybe no, I like that. I just think there needs to be more speed. Maybe it's just the speed. Maybe
it is a little slow. Yeah. If it was faster and you actually aimed normally, so you're like sliding and then aiming and shooting at that'd be super fun, but you're not. You're moving half the speed you really want to, and you're not aiming.
Really, I mean, I think it really just comes down to execution. That's it. Yeah. The concept is great. It's the execution that's a little lacking right now. But let's go ahead and check with the chat, see how you guys are doing, and then you know, we'll move forward here.
Right.
Let me see. Oh, hello there, Sabbath. Hey, Mastermind. What were you saying? More like Damon X Macross.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either. Yeah, you have to explain that in a little bit. Sabbath said, I played the Yoshi's Crafted World demo, and in my opinion, I think it's going to be better than Kirby Star Allies. I actually agree with you. Yeah, you know, we didn't talk too much about Kirby Star Allies yet, but I agree. Not Kirby Star Allies. Yoshi's Crafted World. That game. One, it has HD rumble. It feels nice. The game is beautiful. I love the fact that it's not just a straight up 2D game. It is kind of like a 3D world, but you can move into the foreground and background, and then you can also backtrack to as like a second playthrough through the level to kind of get the Poochies. Oh, I love all of that. I love how everything comes together. I love how the aiming in this game with the egg, you can pick everything. You can shoot into the foreground, the background.
Yeah, that's something new for Yoshi, I think.
Like, I like that they took away the scalar thing that just moves on its own. I never really enjoyed that. So I'm glad that it worked
okay. I never really thought much of it back in the day, but now I have this. I'm like, oh, it's like a whole new world.
I prefer to aim that way. If anything, if they could change anything, which I don't think they will, is just maybe like being able to jump while aiming. When you jump, you cancel out of the aim. Now, really? When you're in the air, you can aim, but you have to be you have to have already have jumped. You can't jump and still be aiming. When you do that, you cancel.
Weird.
Right, like there's so many face buttons. They could easily have another button for cancel, and then
Yeah. Another thing they removed from Woolly World that was interesting is you can't hold enemies in your mouth. Like you eat them, and then it just makes an egg automatically. Like before, you could hold them in your mouth and like spit them out. and it was actually really, really useful. You can't do that here. I don't know why.
I didn't realize that. Huh.
Yeah, I tried to do it, and I was like, oh, it's not working.
Well,
It's just making an egg.
That is different, for sure.
Usually you hold it, and then you press down on the joystick or D-pad in order to make an egg.
Interesting. I never realized that. And I do... Maybe just because I'm a big... I like other platformers, like Mario and Donkey Kong, where there's a lot more flow to the movement. Yoshi's slower paced. I understand Yoshi's a different kind of platformer, but like whenever there was like, you know, a ramp, I kind of always wanted to slide down, and I never could.
I tried that in the demo, and I was like, it didn't work.
So it's not just me. Like, you want to slide down, and you can't. So,
this one definitely is slower. You feel a lot heavier in this one than you did in like Woolly World.
Right. It's
like your flutter jump doesn't go very high either. You don't get much height from that.
The game feels very methodical. And
yeah,
I do feel like my options are limited, which may sound ironic because the game there's a lot of different things you can do in it, but it's all like pre-designed, right? Like Yoshi himself is kind of limited in what he can do, but like the environment has a lot more thought to put into it than previous games. Like,
right.
Maybe that's what it is. Like Yoshi himself is kind of limited compared to previous Yoshis or even other Nintendo platformers, but the environment itself is actually really, really well thought out because there's different things you can like hit and break and maneuver and interact with, and you can go backwards, and there's things in the foreground and the background, and there's cute little enemies that you can interact with. Like, all of that's really, really well done, and I love it, but I do feel like Yoshi himself is a bit limited, and maybe that's by design, but I'm just saying, I do feel that desire to kind of move a little quicker, slide, be able to, you know, be a bit more dynamic with my movement. So, you know, maybe that's just because I'm used to other platformers, but that's just kind of my thought on it.
It's also the first level. Like, there's not a lot of gimmicks. Like,
Right.
usually in later Yoshi levels, there's different gimmicks and different items you can use and things that make you faster and move around more. And this was just, like, the basic level tutorial. It was terrible. Also, something that you might find better about using eggs is if you go in the menu, you can change it to, like, a hasty option, which makes you be able to automatically throw forward or up just by clicking the button. So if you're holding the joystick up, it will throw an egg up, or if you're just moving around, it will throw immediately, which I always love to use. I don't know if you had that on. It's weird because Woolly World gave you the option right away and explained everything, and this one it was just like, nope, go in, and if you find the option, then there you go. If you don't know it exists, well, you're just not going to find it probably.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll have to look into that. Even though I've already 100% of the demo, but, you know. Yeah,
which was super short, especially compared to Daemon X Machina. I played that demo for over an hour, and I still didn't beat it.
Yeah.
I was like, what the heck? This demo's huge. It's like freaking Octopath Traveler demo over here.
So let's see. Hello there, Chris. How you doing, man? And, yeah, Daemon X Machina is a Switch exclusive, Sabbath. That is true.
Sabbath asked me if I got my King K. Rool amiibo yet. No. Actually, Best Buy apparently didn't make sure there was enough stock for the pre-orders, so I have to wait for them to restock to get mine. So, yay. And I might not get it, apparently, because Best Buy's dumb, and they don't check to make sure they have enough stock before you order it. So, we'll see if I actually end up getting one or not. Feels bad. So don't pre-order amiibos from Best Buy apparently because they don't. They don't always feel that.
I'm just not a fan of pre-ordering anything anymore unless I'm gonna pick it up at the store because whenever I pre-order something, it doesn't come on time, like ever.
Yeah, so I never pre-order games other than pick up because they don't come as soon as possible. And then like I really only pre-order things if I want to pick it up that day. Or if it's like a limited edition item and I don't want it to go out of stock. Otherwise, if you're not gonna just don't pre-order it. If you're not gonna pick it up like immediately, like in the morning of the same day, there's no reason to pre-order anything. It's just so you can get it like as soon as possible, without having to wait.
Yeah. So let's jump into things here. So. Scalebound. What do you think, man? let's go over some of the details here. Scalebound is a game that was gonna come to Xbox One. It was canceled officially in 2017. It is literally the most exciting game I've seen that was slated for Xbox that I wanted. It was maybe the game that maybe wanted me to get it, that made me want to get an Xbox. There were a couple other rare games, but for the most part, that's what it was. And when that game was canceled, I was like, oh, well, I give no crap about Xbox anymore. Like, that's it.
They canceled that, and then, like, shortly or around that time, they started throwing everything onto PC. So it was kind of like around that time when they just killed off needing an Xbox.
Right. So fast forward to a few days ago, the executive editor from Game Informer, he's been coming up a lot lately, he was saying that there is a game. In fact, I'm just gonna read it off so it's very clear. I wanna get it right, because I'm gonna be frank with you guys. A lot of people have been misinforming about this. Also, a lot of other like YouTubers that I've seen cover the topics on the rumors from King Zell before the Nintendo Direct really kind of misinformed a lot of people about that. But I'll get into that in a little bit. But first, let's talk about this. But before, let me, Brandon, you know what I'm talking about or no?
Yeah,
okay.
I think I know what you're talking about.
I'll get into it. But let's just go over this real quick. Jesus, this article does not have his direct quote. What the hell? What is it with this? What?
Bad journalism. Bad journalism.
Okay, here it is. Alright, so Khan said, there's a game that's thought to be dead that Nintendo's reviving, and it's not one that people would expect. It was very much a title that was dead and buried, very officially canceled. I've heard enough about this game that he's almost sure that it exists again. Okay, so I think the interesting point here is that it was supposedly a game that was very known, very canceled. It's a canceled project. So when you're saying it's a very publicly known canceled project, that means it's not F-Zero, it's not Kid Icarus, it's not Star Fox. These are games that we've learned that were in the works but were canceled, but they were never publicly shown off. They were never publicly canceled. So it can't be those games. It's a game that was known by the public and it was openly canceled. So then what could that be? Well, RGT85 came out afterwards and said it might not be a Nintendo game. He's been hearing something different, and he's brought up two different games. Some sort of Mega Man game that I don't know too much about. I'm sure some of you guys were like,
Legend 3?
Yeah,
everyone knows about Legend 3. How do you not know about Legend 3?
I guess I'm not that big of a Mega Man fan.
I'm not a big Mega Man fan.
I know of it, but I hear Mega Man and I hear all these different little numbers and letters and names. I'm sorry, but whatever. I know there have been a few Mega Man games that have been canceled. I know a lot of people want Mega Man. I've played Mega Man. I think it's great. I just don't identify with that title, but whatever. I'm sorry. But the other game he brought up was Scalebound, and I kind of thought that when I first saw the Imran Khan bring it up. And I don't know if any of you guys who are watching remember this, but if we were to go back to 2017, I know for a fact, at least once, I brought up the possibility of Nintendo taking up the project and bring Scalebound to Nintendo Switch.
Right.
Does anyone remember me saying that?
I remember.
You do? Okay, good. Thank you for vouching for that, because I have that was such a long time ago. No, it was just speculation. I didn't have like any inside sources, but it kind of made sense then, right? It would feel like a Bayonetta situation, right, where they have all these fans excited for this one project on a different system, and then Nintendo comes out of nowhere, swoops in, saves the day, and brings the game to light. And if Platinum Games would be the developer for this,
right?
It's their game. Xbox was trying to publish it and give Platinum Games the money, but then they pulled out. So Nintendo could come in and help Platinum Games take up this project out there. It makes sense, and now there are even more reports coming out saying that it is Scalebound and not something else. Who was it that actually said this? Literally, it was the whatchamacallit? Nintendo Informer? Yeah, Nintendo Informer. So they've actually come out and said that this is the game. Now, I don't know if they're being bad reporters here and just running with the rumor, or if they've actually heard additional information. But I'll say this. Alana Pierce, I don't know if you guys know who Alana Pierce is. She used to work for IGN. Now she works with Rooster Teeth. She definitely has connections to the industry and such. This is what she said on Twitter. I was told Scalebound would still come out, just not as an Xbox exclusive, by someone I consider fairly credible all the way back in June last year, but she didn't believe them. Now she's saying maybe it's actually true. So, there you go. She herself heard way back when, over half a year ago, that Scalebound was still happening, just not as an Xbox exclusive.
Right.
That kind of adds a bit more fuel to the fire here. I think Scalebound is fairly likely, based off what we're hearing. You know, it's not confirmed yet. You never really know. This does seem like kind of a crazy thing to be, and there's so many other things that Nintendo could maybe be working on. So I'm not trying to get you guys to 100% believe it. I'm not 100% believing it, but I am thinking this is fairly likely. Where do you stand on this, Brandon?
I mean, it's possible. I mean, they did do Bayonetta 2. They funded that when, you know, it was going to get canceled or wasn't going to get made, or I forget the exact situation, but they got exclusivity for Bayonetta 2. Same company makes that, so it's possible they've done deals like that before. I'm just thinking, like, that was a very demanding game.
Yeah.
Like, very demanding. Like, you could tell even the Xbox was like, none of the demos they showed, it ran terribly. Like, and I don't know, maybe it just wasn't, you know, it wasn't finished, so obviously that's another reason. But you could definitely tell it was a very taxing game. There were gigantic monsters, and the special effects were incredible, and it just looked like a seriously next-gen game. So there's going to have to, if they were going to bring that to Switch, they definitely have to put a lot of work into making that run well.
They would have to scale down Scalebound.
Yeah, they would.
Yeah,
so,
I agree.
It's possible.
Well, I wonder if they would just restart development. Like,
it's
kind of just build it back up. They use some of the concepts, but they just build it back up from the ground up for the Nintendo Switch. And if they build it up from the ground up for the Nintendo Switch, they can definitely make a really good-looking, impressive-looking game. Mm-hmm. But it would have to be done differently because, yeah, Scalebound is very technically impressive. It was really pushing the Xbox One, which is already a fair bit more powerful than the Nintendo Switch.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm right there with you. But one thing that I think needs to absolutely change, and if it doesn't change, I'll be very disappointed. The main character needs to go. Like, they gotta scrap that guy.
Yeah, he's boring. He's a loser.
I hated that guy. Like, I thought it was such a very mainstream, like, super boring, uninteresting, uninspired character. They really need to go back to the drawing board with the main character, make something more interesting. Everything else about the game I thought was really cool, though. So, you know, hopefully they can rework that a little bit. And I think there's some serious potential here if it is real. Platinum Games is a solid developer, and Nintendo's putting their money behind it. I think that makes it even more likely that the game will be pretty good. Does that mean it's going to be like a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 kind of game? No, you know, it might still just be like a decent, okay-ish game, right? And actually, we were just talking about Daemon X Machina. If I have to tell you the truth, I hope they make the changes so it becomes a great game. But right now, as it is, if the game launches similar to the way it's playing now with the demo, with the prototype missions, Daemon X Machina is going to be a pass for me. And it's going to probably be a pass for a lot of people.
I would not buy it if it plays like this.
Like, it'll probably get like 7 out of 10s and stuff like that. Like, it's not going to be... It's going to be an okay game, right? So I hope it's more than just an okay game, you know, but I'm just saying, where it is right now, it isn't. And Scalebound could be that. It also could be a dumpster fire performance-wise if they just try to scale down whatever Scalebound is from what it originally was. But I feel like if Nintendo's putting their money behind it, I also trust Platinum Games, so I don't think it's going to be a dumpster fire if it is real, if this is what it is. So, you know, I feel pretty good about it. I think it is probably pretty cool. It's going to have dragons. That makes it good.
Dragons are dope.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the core gameplay looked great. Like, it looked fantastic. It looked really fun, fluid, and like there was a bunch going on, gigantic monsters and all kinds of awesome stuff. It was just like the difficulty of bringing that to Switch is it's high. It's a high bar, but I think Platinum Games can pull it off. I mean, they have as much time as they want. There's literally no reason for them to announce this anytime soon if they like aren't ready.
Oh, I don't even plan on seeing this at E3 or anything like that.
No.
Like, if the game was canceled early 2017, right? Or like close to mid 2017, this is probably gonna take maybe in 2020 we'll see this. Like,
I mean, they got Astral Chain coming out this year. Maybe even Bayonetta 3 coming out this year or next year. I think it's going to be next year since Astral Chain's coming in August.
I want to talk about that too. That's another interesting thing.
So, like, they already have 2 exclusive games coming on the Switch, soon. They're not going to have a third one. Like, that'd be insane. I don't think we're going to see anything in this game for at least a year or 2, if it is true.
I mean, I can see.
I'm sure there's going to be so many people like, we didn't see the E3 leak.
I think we could see it in 2020. And if they do, show it off at E3 this year, that makes sense. I mean, one interesting thing to take into consideration is that the reason sources are kind of coming out about it now, and if those sources are legitimate, that must mean that the game is maybe further into development than we might think. And if that's the case, not necessarily. I'm just saying that oftentimes when there are rumors about these games, it's because they're close to getting revealed, right? So, like, for example, we're not hearing any rumors about, I don't know, like, the next Mario game, right? Or the next Zelda game. Right. But we did hear about the next rumors about a 2D Zelda and Mario Maker, and those are coming out this year. You know what I mean? So,
right.
But not 3D Mario or not 3D Zelda. Even though those games are definitely in development. We know they're in development. We just don't know what the hell's going on with them. Right? So my point is simply that if there are sources coming out for this and people are hearing things, it might be closer to release than we might realize. I definitely don't think it's coming out this year. But, that doesn't mean they can't show it off at E3. But if it is real, I would say 2020 is a more likely date. Just, my personal gut feeling here.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of being revealed, because this could be a big project, it might even take longer. Although Platinum Games seems to be pretty quick about their turnover when it comes to games, so I'm not too concerned about that.
Too long. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to say when they'll announce it because their announcements have not been like they've been all over the place. Like Astral Chain got announced last week and it's coming August. But Bayonetta 2 got announced in 2017 and it still doesn't have a release date. So it's they could do Bayonetta 3.
Bayonetta 2 was announced a long time ago.
Yeah, Bayonetta 2 was announced a long time ago. Well, technically
3.
1 and 2. But
well, the difference between the announcement for Bayonetta 2 and to when it came out was about 2 years. Bayonetta 3 was announced at the end of 2017. I guess theoretically it could come out holiday 2019 based off that, but because of Astral Chain, I'm thinking that it's not going to be this year. It's just not at all. I mean, I guess we could kind of start talking about that now. Are we done with Scalebound? Let's check the chat, and then we'll first cover the Platinum games, or the Platinum game for the Nintendo Direct, and we'll get into that, and then we'll move on with the discussion. But let's see what's going on here. Sabbath is saying a lot of people are assuming it's Earthbound 64.
Possible. That was one thing I was actually thinking
that would fit the bill based off what Imran Khan is saying, but other people are saying it's not necessarily a Nintendo game. And if it's not a Nintendo game, then my next conclusion would be Scalebound. There are other games, but that's the one that pops out to me would be Scalebound. Right. But I was also thinking Earthbound 64 before I heard about it maybe not being a Nintendo game. And it's possible these could be two different things, right? It's also possible the Scalebound thing is false. And there are different options here for sure. But I also thought about Scalebound 64, Earthbound 64. So maybe. Also, Brandon Stallion says he just bought Fire Emblem Warriors. You saw gameplay of it and you're really excited to play it. I love the idea of being able to kill huge crowds of enemies. Yeah, actually, Fire Emblem Warriors is pretty interesting. It's a lot better done than Hyrule Warriors from what I hear. So hopefully you can enjoy that, man. Let me know how it is.
Yeah.
Hello there, Darcy. How's it going? No Filter. What's up, man? So he's saying this is going to be another game where everyone hypes themselves up for nothing. Then when it comes around, they don't show anything. Then everyone says E3 sucked. It's a circle of life. That's actually an interesting point. So I want to get into this. I alluded to it earlier. So there were several games that were rumored before the Nintendo Direct, and a lot of people were taking these rumors from King Zell and saying, "Oh, these games are rumored for the Nintendo Direct." He technically didn't specify that, right? But people were just kind of mounting it all together. It's like they never even read his posts or anything like that, and that kind of annoyed me. So basically, from what I remember, King Zell was hinting at something on the 13th, and there you go, February 13th, Nintendo Direct happened, right? And he mentioned several games. He mentioned Metro Prime Trilogy, he mentioned Pikmin 3, he mentioned Box Boy, he mentioned Mario Maker, and he mentioned 2D Zelda. 3 of those games were at the Direct. He didn't say all of them would be at the Direct. We got 3 of them, and yet there are people out there saying, "Oh, this rumor is false, it's garbage." That's probably because you had other people out there saying all of these were rumored for the Nintendo Direct. No, they weren't actually rumored for the Nintendo Direct. They weren't. That wasn't specified. I mean, yes, it's kind of like a fair assumption to make. You can make that logical leap that there's a good chance they could be at the Direct. But just because the game's in development doesn't mean it's going to be announced for the Nintendo Direct. Like, those are 2 different things. And there's a lot of people out there that were kind of like misleading others about that. So that kind of annoyed me. So, you know, to kind of tie that into what you said, No Filter, like just this premise of people hearing about this game and then when it's not showing off, the next conclusion is, "Oh, the game is fake. Well, blah blah blah. This sucks." Well, that's also
I've seen people saying that for Star Fox Grand Prix. It's like,
and also Metro Prime Trilogy.
It was fake because it wasn't at the Direct. I'm like, why? I didn't even think it was gonna be at the Direct. Who thought it was gonna be at the Direct? Like, that's definitely an E3 type announcement. Like, that wasn't gonna be at the Direct anyways.
Well, it might not be at E3, but you know,
it could be fake. But just because it wasn't at the Direct doesn't mean it's fake.
Right?
Like,
exactly. So, you know, and people just show game announcements, and I'm actually really impressed with the Nintendo Direct, but I guess I'll save that for a little bit later, because I guess that's the grading of the Nintendo Direct portion of this discussion. Let me see what Zachary's asking here. So Zachary Billish is asking, what is Scalebound? So Scalebound is this, if you look at the thumbnail for the discussion, you see like this giant realistic dragon with a guy on top. Basically, Scalebound was this Xbox exclusive that was being developed by Platinum Games. The Xbox was publishing it, and it was basically where you had control of a giant freaking dragon. Like, you fought with him, you could ride him. There are other giant boss monsters and other like medieval-looking enemies and crazy like it was almost kind of like a. Like, it wasn't just dragons. Like, there was, like, the giant crab monster, and it was, like, a kind of, like, a really cool-looking, like, open-world environment. And the dragon could, like, basically burn everything up, and you could work with him. And the protagonist was, like, this weird, like, I guess, like, millennial. They would love to listen to, like, electronical music, which I thought was awkward. But that was basically the game. A lot of people thought it was really exciting. It had a really big budget. It was super epic looking. The graphics were amazing, and then they canceled the game. Yeah. So that's basically Scalebound in a nutshell, right? You have anything to add to that?
No, yeah, that's about it. I mean, honestly, we didn't see a super big amount of the game. Super big amount of the game. But there is like trailers and gameplay of it. So if you want to see more after the podcast, you can definitely look it up. There's footage of it out there. You can see
there's a whole demo.
Yeah,
there was a whole E3 demo, so you could at least see like a level of the game or a portion of the game at one point before it was canceled. So Darcy's saying, I want Astral Chain injected into my veins. Yeah, Astral Chain, I think, is actually kind of a big deal. I'm pretty excited about that. So let's just use that to jump into the Nintendo Direct. So, I mean, do you want to talk about that first? Since it's already been mentioned.
Yeah, let's talk about Astral Chain, my dude.
Astral Chain is the kind of game that when we were looking at it, we're like, oh, what is this? This is not Metroid. This is not Pikmin. This is not Animal Crossing. What is this? Oh, wait.
What is this garbage?
Could this be a Xenoblade game? What? What is this? And then we realized it was a Platinum game, a new IP, which might even be a bigger deal. You know? Like, it's interesting because Astral Chain is a new IP, and I think some people... They see Astral Chain and are like, oh, I don't know what that is, therefore it's not good. New game, great games have to start somewhere, right? Like, great franchises have to start somewhere. So, when I saw this trailer, I was really impressed. For the Switch, it looks really good graphically. Yeah. The The mechanics look interesting, like the way you fight. Like you fight with basically a stand. I don't know if you realize that, Brandon, but it's basically it's futuristic JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Yeah,
so,
it is.
So it's kind of interesting. I like the aesthetic. I think it's really cool. The music is interesting. The combat looks great. The graphics are great. The art style, like I love everything about this game. It's really cool looking, and it seems promising. You know, Kamiya is overseeing the game. He's just, you know, he's not directing it, but he is overseeing it. And the Platinum Games seems to be confident about this team, but they have said this is kind of like a new project. I forget who it is that's directing it now, but it's kind of like his first main game, but he has experience with other games. It's from the people who made, you know, Wonderful 101 and Bayonetta 2. So there is a fair bit of confidence that seems to be assumed here. I think I don't know if it's going to be as good as Bayonetta, but yeah, I love where it's going. I think it has some serious potential.
Oh yeah, it looked cool, and it seems to be kind of open world-ish. It was hard to tell. There was definitely some big environments that you could walk around and explore. I'm not sure if it's a completely open world game or whatnot, but it did seem to have some bigger environments you can run around in. And I mean, it looks super good. Obviously, I can't say too much about the gameplay because we don't know really what's happening. But it's like graphically, like it looked good. You could see like the different like water beads like collecting on their armor and then like dripping off, and there was like a lot of particle effects whenever they attack, and the rain effects look really good. Like it looked clean.
I didn't notice any of these things.
You didn't notice any of these things.
All these little details that you brought up, I haven't noticed those graphical effects yet. No,
it looked really good. So I was super impressed, and I went back and I started rewatching the trailer, and I was actually like getting hints of the story, and I was like, oh, I'm interested. Like, who are these people? What's up with them? Because there was like, you know, this woman talking about how they're getting corrupted by society, or like somebody who they're listening to isn't as trustworthy as they think, and you're like, who are they getting orders from? Are they really trustworthy? Like, what's happening? It was like it's something about the way they were born or something. And I was like, what? Well, how were they born? I don't understand.
Yeah, it's looking like one of those really like trippy sci-fi stories, and that's gonna be great. Like it's like
it reminded me of a Monolith story.
What?
It reminded me of a Monolith Soft story.
Kinda, like, yeah. No, I got similar vibes for sure. I'm pretty excited about it, man. I think it looks really good, and even here's the thing: because of this game coming out August 30th, I no longer think Bayonetta 3 is an option for this year.
Right.
I don't think that's likely. I mean, when you look at the list of games we already have, in fact, Nintendo put out a picture of the games that they showed off at the Direct.
They had a tweet.
And that's just from the Direct.
Super impressive.
Yeah. That's just from the Direct, but it was. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. It was. Yeah, it was just from the Direct. Let me see where it is. I can find it. Jesus, these don't post way too much.
I need to stop following so many people. I can't find anything.
There it is. So there's the image, right? That's all from the games that were mentioned in the Direct, right? But add to that games like Doom Eternal, Pokemon, Animal Crossing. This is a crazy list, and you know this is still February. Other games will be announced.
Right.
It's a fact. There will be more game announcements. This year has a lot of games. Now, one thing I want to kind of talk about is that while I think there's a lot of games coming, and I think I'm going to be thoroughly entertained throughout the entire year, there isn't like one game that I'm like, damn, that's the game that's going to be like the game of the year candidate kind of game. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I haven't seen like the Breath of the Wild, the Mario Odyssey, the Smash Ultimate. Obviously, Smash Ultimate's mentioned in here, but that's just, you know, DLC. But you know what I mean? Like, right now, there isn't like that one game that I know for a fact is going to be a game of the year candidate, right? I'm hoping Pokemon is that game, right? But Pokemon has never been a Game of the Year candidate before, so I don't really... I think it still could be, because I think this is going to be the biggest budget Pokemon game yet. Right? It's not that Pokemon doesn't make quality games, they always do, but they're always lower budget handheld games, and I don't know if you guys realize this, but handheld games never really are Game of the Year candidates. Like,
Yeah, it was a handheld game. It was an RPG. There was no way it was making it on the list
right,
for the
that's
Game
two things
Awards.
holding it back significantly. But I think Pokemon maybe might be that game this year. Maybe. Otherwise, I'm not sure there would be that kind of game from Nintendo this year.
Yeah, I don't know. The only one I could even think is like Astral Chain, maybe. If it's like really, really impressive, but I feel like Game Awards is just so biased against games like that, and it's like I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know, man. It doesn't seem super likely.
Right.
But I mean, I want
maybe Mario Maker. I feel like Mario Maker, the original, was like because it was so popular. I think it actually got nominated. I don't remember exactly. I think it was at least considered. Like it was in. Like you could like vote for it or something.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it being like platformer or family game or create game. Like there's Mario Maker's definitely going to get some nominations. I feel pretty confident saying that. But is it going to be like one of the top 5 like Game of the Year candidate sort of things?
Yeah. Well, the thing is like none of the other companies have really coming up with something super good other than like Resident Evil 2 remake. Like. Nobody else has any big plans.
That thing that has some serious potential. Yeah. Apex Legends. People are gonna be talking about that one for a while.
It's gonna be Apex Legends and Resident Evil 2. Those are the 2 Game of the Years. Because literally nobody has a big release schedule. PS4 dumped all their games last year. Xbox never has any games, so there you go. And Nintendo's coming out with a bunch of stuff, but none of it's like. No, I don't think any of it can compete with Resident Evil 2 for Game of the Year.
Right, but I mean, you know, let's move past that for now though, because there's still a lot of great games, right? Like Link's Awakening, like that, I think it's my second most anticipated game of the like. It's interesting because some people are saying the Nintendo Direct was like bad, but the Nintendo Direct announced 3 different games that are in my top 5 most anticipated games of the year. So if I were to rank it right now in terms of games that are known for 2019 personally, Pokemon's my most anticipated game. Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening is number 2. Then we have Astral Chain, and I don't. What was the 5th one? Oh, I guess I'm not that excited about it. But Mario Maker's also in there, right? Oh, and Luigi's Mansion 3. Like those are my anticipated games. Mario Maker, Astral Chain, and Link's Awakening were all introduced in the Nintendo Direct. Like, how is that a bad Direct?
No, yeah, it's definitely not. I feel like literally if one of 2 things had been the Direct, it would have been like 10 out of 10 for everybody.
If it had Prime Trilogy and Animal Crossing.
Trilogy or Animal Crossing. One of those 2 had been in there, it would have been 10 out of 10. But since they weren't shown, nope, automatically the worst Direct you've ever seen in your goddamn life. It's terrible. It sucks. 0 out of 10, Nintendo.
The Direct was already 36 minutes long.
Yeah, it was good. It was so good.
Now, one thing I didn't like about it though was the Fire Emblem portion. You know, don't get me wrong. The Fire Emblem 3 Houses is starting to build on me a little bit more. Right, I'm starting to get into it a little bit more. But whenever they go into those long tangents and just kind of explain like every aspect, or not even every aspect, just like go into a couple modes of the game and just explain it detail by detail, I don't have the attention span for that. I'm just like, okay, I don't need that. Just give me a cool trailer and move on to the next thing. That's what I want.
Yeah, this was not the Direct for that. I think a Fire Emblem Direct, which honestly probably will come, or like Treehouse would be better.
Oh, God. That's the thing that really bothers me, actually. Because there's going to be another Fire Emblem Direct, and they're just going to go into more detail about the game again. Like, just give me a trailer.
I actually want, for Fire Emblem, I want them to go into detail, because there's a lot of things I want to hear about.
If it's a dedicated Fire Emblem Direct... And, okay, if it's a dedicated Direct, because the game's coming out in July, I think, right? That's the date they gave us? Did they give us July?
Yes.
That was the impression I got, that it's July.
Yeah, I remember being
that's
July.
Coming out after E3, so for sure it's going to be at the E3 Direct. So it's going to be at least in one more Direct, probably. You know, maybe 2 more. In fact, Yoshi's had, like, been brought up several times.
Yeah. Yoshi's been so much.
It had the trailer in January. It was at this Direct. It was in the September Direct. It was at E3. Well, maybe it wasn't at E3, actually. But it's been brought up like 3, 4, maybe 5 times.
Wasn't it announced? What was Yoshi? I feel like a Yoshi game in development was announced like at the Switch presentation. It was so long ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Or it was like it was either no, I think it was E3, not the Switch presentation.
E3
The
2017.
first E3 for the Switch.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
like it's so long.
That was a while ago. A very long time ago. But you know, I'm excited for Astral Chain. I think that's really good. Mario Maker 2 has slopes. Slopes.
Yeah, slopes,
like
boys.
What? Slopes. Holy crap.
Yeah, slopes.
I'm pretty excited about Mario Maker 2. I didn't think it would happen though. Like I believed the rumor about the Mario Maker thing. I just didn't think it would come so soon.
And nobody thought it was gonna be June.
It's like New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe came out in January, and then now we're getting Mario Maker 2 in June.
Yeah.
I don't get that.
I don't know.
I
Everyone was like, oh, it's gonna be later. It's gonna be like closer to holiday or something. Nope, June. It's like, okay. I guess it's taken up that. Like, I thought a Mario sports game would get announced for June, but nope, Mario Maker. So,
yeah, I didn't expect that at all. But I mean, I'm happy about it because that's a real 2D Mario game that I actually want. Okay.
Yeah.
I played New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe on the Wii U, like then, and I 100%ed it then. I don't need to play it again.
I played it for like 5 hours and was like, this game's meh, and never touched it again.
It was okay.
And the thing that sucks is I thought it was going to be good, so I actually bought the game and the Luigi's DLC. I never even touched the Luigi's DLC.
That's unfortunate.
I was like, this is a waste of fucking money.
That's unfortunate. If you ever find yourself bored, you should fire up that Wii U.
Yeah, I sold it.
Oh. Yeah. You should steal it back and play.
The gamepad was broken. I sold it for full price anyways. I don't know why they took it.
Yeah. But let's go back into the chat because we're gonna be talking about the Nintendo Direct for a while.
Right.
In fact, the chat may help kind of guide us through this Direct because there's a lot to talk about here. Arshan, hello, man. Let me see. So,
no filtered Nintendo podcast. He's so hyped. Platinum is the shit. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, he was saying that the director for Astral Chain is the lead designer of Nier Automata.
Yeah,
I agree that says some really nice things about this game. It'll probably be really, really good. Darcy saying the music for Astral Chain was sick. I agree.
Yeah.
I like the point that Sinus Joe made. He's saying that I feel like it will be a Splatoon type of game where nobody cares too much about it at first, but then once it comes out, people realize how big of a game it really is, and it will become a big hit. I hope you're right. I really do.
I feel like there's a lot of buzz about it, though. There's like a lot of people talking about it, surprisingly.
I think there is some buzz about it, but I think there are other people out there that are just completely writing it off. Like, I've seen people like say, oh, the Direct sucked. They only had Mario Maker and Zelda. That's it. That's not true.
Yeah, like, where are you been?
But it's just because people are writing it off.
Juicy.
Not everyone, right? I mean, we're fairly excited about it, but I'm just saying not everyone is. And I think Silence Joe, I hope he's right, in that when the game comes out, it is a big hit, and it, kind of goes viral, becomes trending, and people realize it's a great game.
Yeah. It's probably my second or third most hyped game for this year.
Yeah, no, it's up there right now. Let me see. So Darcy's saying maybe the main characters and other police are genetically engineered, which explains why it explains the quote way you were born end quote line. Maybe, yeah. That
I hope I'm remembering that right, because I'm pretty sure she said it was something about the way you were born, but I actually could be wrong. So don't quote me on that line exactly.
Okay, so actually, Victory 19 brought up an interesting thing that I want to talk about right now, and I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news here, but Victory 19 said that Bill Trinen might have slipped that Bayonetta 3 might be coming this year. I heard about that. In fact, Doctor81 made a video 6 talking about how he believes Bayonetta 3 could still be coming out this year, and he even used a written down quote from Bill Trinen from the Nintendo Powered podcast that may have suggested that. But here's the thing. I strongly recommend you go on YouTube, search Nintendo Power for this Nintendo Direct, watch it around the, I believe, 20-ish minute mark. They talk about Bayonetta 3 and Astral Chain, and when you hear what Bill Trinen says in the right context, he was talking about Astral Chain coming out later this year, not Bayonetta 3. Some people are taking his words out of context and saying he meant Bayonetta 3. No, he meant Astral Chain. I was kind of hopeful when I heard that, but after I watched the podcast, it was pretty clear to me that he was referring to Astral Chain. Context is really important here.
You have to think, this is an official Nintendo podcast. Like, they're not gonna slip up and accidentally announce the release date for something in the podcast. It has
happened where some accidental things happen, but if you listen to the Nintendo Power podcast, they're really careful. Like, they're really, really careful about these things. Like, they don't say anything negative. I don't know if you realize that, but they never say anything negative ever about any game.
No, they're officially, they're run by Nintendo. They're not going to say anything bad.
That's one of the things I don't like about it, though. I feel like they're not as real as they could be. Like, I think they try to be as real as they can without critiquing any of the games, but I wish they were a bit more open to critique. Like, I wish they were, but I guess that's kind of what you get from other podcasts that aren't directly sponsored by Nintendo.
Right. I mean, they're sponsored by Nintendo. They're literally, like, a part of, like, the treehouse is a lot of what runs it.
Right, it's literal Nintendo PR working there, yeah.
Yeah, they could get in huge trouble if they started criticizing Nintendo during this podcast. Like, they would probably get fired.
Yeah, but, anyways, I just want to make it clear because I know some people are talking about Bayonetta 3 coming out in 2019. I want it to happen. I've made several videos talking about it, so me being wrong makes me look bad, but whatever. You can't get everything right. But based off the way Astral Chain coming out August 30th and what Bill Trin said in the podcast, it does not offer any hope for Bayonetta. Like, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm simply saying that Bill Trin did not say Bayonetta 3 is this year. He said Astral Chain. People are taking what he said out of context. You have to listen to the podcast.
It just doesn't make... Oh, you just finished what you were saying?
I was just going to say, you have to actually listen to what he said. People are taking a quote, and if you don't listen to the whole part of it, like, the context is really important. This happens a lot with, like, different famous politicians or athletes or whatever. You can take a quote from what someone says, and if you don't see what they said before and after, sometimes it sounds like they said is, like, really wrong until you actually listen to the whole thing that they said. So I recommend you go and listen to exactly what Bill Trinan said, and then you can interpret it as you will, but after I watched it, to me it was pretty clear that he was just referring to Astral Chain.
Right.
But go on with what you were saying.
Yeah, I don't think it makes much sense to have Astral Chain in August and have Bayonetta 3 come out this year, just because I feel like that will just overshadow Astral Chain. Like, you have this new IP, it looks cool, yeah, but this is Bayonetta. Like, it has a huge fan base already, and it's definitely a bigger deal than Astral Chain. If you have it releasing close, and I mean, August, you're going to have it any kind of reasonable time coming out this year would probably be pretty close to that. So, I mean, maybe if they cut it out in December, they could pull it off.
The only window I think it could make sense. Bayonetta 3 as a December game. But that's still, like, if it comes out August 30th, that means September, October, November. So I guess it would basically have to be, like, 3 months afterwards. Maybe 3 months and a week. Like, they can't release Bayonetta 3 December 14. Like, it has to be, like, in the first week of December, because otherwise it wouldn't really be good for sales. So we're looking at what, like a 12 to 4 week gap at best.
And isn't it coming out like August 30th or something?
It's August 30th. It's the end of August. It's the end of August. So it's basically just 3 months.
Yeah. So that's just not enough time, I feel like, especially since there are differences, but to most people they're going to look at that and they're going to find them very similar.
They're both
they're going to go over Bayonetta.
Action games. They're both like action beat 'em up
games made by Platinum. So they're gonna feel very similar when the average consumer goes to look at which one to buy. They're gonna see the big name of Bayonetta. They're gonna buy that.
Yeah, and it's just kind of like I don't see. So Fire Emblem's coming out in July. Mario Maker's coming out in June. Marvel Ultimate Alliance is coming around summertime as well, right? This doesn't count any third-party games. I'm talking about just the published Nintendo games. Dragon Quest XI S, Nintendo might have a hand in publishing. I'm not entirely sure. With the amount of time
they are publishing it, from what I've heard.
So that's another game that has to fit into the fall schedule. And then there's still Luigi's Mansion 3, Animal Crossing, Pokemon, Town. We don't know where Town is coming out.
Yeah, I assume Town will probably be summer too.
And of course, Astral Chain's in August. So you have Mario Maker June, Fire Emblem July, Astral Chain August. Daemon X Machina is another one, right? So you get Daemon X Machina, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, and Dragon Quest S also to come out sometime around those months as well. That still leaves Luigi's Mansion, Pokemon, and Animal Crossing. And The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening.
Mm-hmm.
And there still might be other games announced for this year.
Yeah. Yeah, there's usually a game or two announced at E3.
There isn't really that much space left. They could get away with not announcing any more games for the year, but because it's February, they're going to announce more games for this year.
I think we'll get Prime Trilogy.
It might not be like a big AAA game, but yeah, maybe like a Prime Trilogy or Pikmin 3 or a couple more eShop games. That might be it, and maybe one more kind of like Luigi's Mansion, Daemon X Machina level kind of game. And
I like how you grouped Luigi's Mansion 3, a Mario-esque, game with a brand new IP from a decent, like a small studio.
Well, okay, I'll explain that. It's just kind of like Luigi's Mansion 3 is not a AAA effort, right? It has a smaller budget.
Yeah.
And Daemon X Machina is not a AAA effort either, but both of those games are getting pushed by Nintendo. Like they're quality level, games, or at least in terms of budget, it seems like, right? And they're being advertised relatively well. Daemon X Machina has been getting pushed. Like if it been advertised a fair bit, then that's what I mean. Like you can, for example, I think you could agree that Yoshi's Crafted World and Daemon X Machina are getting a similar level of advertising.
Yeah.
And I think Luigi's Mansion 3 is going to get advertised at a similar level to Yoshi's Crafted World.
I think it would get more.
Okay. All right.
I
Fine.
think it's a bit. It's not like hugely bigger, but it's a step up. I think.
Basically all I really mean, okay, is just a game that isn't necessarily like a Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey kind of game from Nintendo, but also it's bigger than an eShop game, which I know it's a kind of a big gap, right? But a game in that gap. Right?
Yeah.
A game in that gap, I think, could maybe be Star Fox Grand Prix.
Okay.
Maybe they could fit in one more game like that. Maybe. So yeah, but there's so many games already coming. But let's check back into the chat because there's a lot to talk about here. Darcy's saying Town will be game of the year. What if? Right? That would be left field, but I hope it's a pretty good game. It might be.
Right. No Filler Nintendo Podcast says, yeah, man, they're terrible at marketing Fire Emblem. They just don't get it. NOA marketing team should be fired. I don't think they should be fired. They actually do a really good job for most things. It's just that was a weirdly...
I don't like... I like what Darcy said. I feel as if the problem with the Three Houses portion was pacing, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think there is a way they can market it a little bit better because for people like me who don't have the attention spans to listen to all these different little details, I just kind of like tune it out. Like, because I know about Fire Emblem, right, I'm interested in the game, but if I didn't know about Fire Emblem, I wouldn't care at all. So I do think there is a bit of an advertising issue with that. I think they need to do a better job with that.
I feel like they didn't show me the things I wanted to know, like how much of these open world sort of explorative segments, like how does the story pace compared to the other ones, because it feels like you're going back to this school, I guess is what it is, constantly like in between missions, and I want to know how much you can explore and stuff, and none of that was answered. I feel like it was just a way that the things that they announced were not things that the average person would care about or get excited for. It was just for hardcore Fire Emblem people, and it was just enough to make other people bored and not enough to actually satisfy what Fire Emblem fans wanted. So it was just not a good segment.
I agree. And I'm not trying to say there's not aspects of the Fire Emblem thing I didn't like. I think I like the whole school aspect. That's an interesting take on the series.
I think Fire Emblem.
I think that green hair dragon girl is kind of cool. Like, And I mean, I like how the camera switches, but we've already seen that before.
Right. I like the anime cutscenes, like the actual, not like the really, really low frame rate ones, but the ones that actually look like you're
Right.
watching an anime.
But
Those are cool.
that's kind of something Fire Emblem's become known for at this point, though, right? They've been doing that for a while already. You know, those aspects look cool to me, so I'm definitely interested in the game. I'm not sold on it yet because I have a limited amount of money that I can use for games, but and time. But I am interested, and it does have a shot for me to get into my game library. It just kind of depends how things pan out. You know, it looks pretty good. I do have to say though, a lot of people are saying the game looks really good, like it's stunning to them. Just gonna be frank with you, it does not look stunning to me. I think it looks okay. I think it looks like it's a studio who's used to making handheld games who's now working on the Nintendo Switch. Like
I think it varies by area. I think the explorable school area looks really good, and I think like the grassland battle map looks good. But there are some areas like the kind of like foggy forest that doesn't look good, and I think it's just like the art style works in the very bright, colorful, grassy places. But when there's not much grass and you're forced to look at those kind of not so great textures and the lighting's kind of black because it's very cloudy and doesn't look so good.
Yeah. Like, I think it's important to note though that historically there have been a lot of games that have been shown off, and then like within that last 6 months before release, like they kind of like put everything kind of comes together, and it looks and runs a lot better, right? So Fire Emblem Three Houses might look a fair bit better by the time it comes out in July. So I'm not completely writing it off. And I mean, we're just talking about the visuals here. So like, you know, I think it still look really good. I don't think it looks bad. I'm just simply saying I don't think it's like a showstopper.
No, it doesn't look impressive.
Right. It's not like the kind of game like, hey, look how powerful the Nintendo Switch is.
Yeah.
You would just see like, oh, okay, my Vita could run this. You know, like
I think it looks impressive some of the time, but not all the time.
It's kind of like hit or miss. Yeah. It's like it has like 3 or 4 different art styles if you think about it.
Yeah, it's strange. I really like that. Like I guess people are kind of comparing it to Hogwarts. I like that because I like Hogwarts. But the school section, I think that looks really good, especially outside where you can see like the giant school and you can see all like the different towers and stuff. I think that area looks good, and the lighting's nice. It's got like volumetric lighting and stuff. It looks good. And then like the grassy, sunny area looks really nice. But mostly, actually, my problem is that forest. I don't like the forest. It doesn't look good. Every other area, I'm like, oh, this looks nice. I liked the forest other area when it's like really bright forest, but like that rainy, drab, gross forest is not looking good for me. I feel like that's the area that they need to fix. Other than that, I thought it actually looked pretty good.
This is a minor topic change, and I do not want to dwell on this. Because I know this could go in a very different direction. I do not want to dwell on this because there's still a lot more to talk about. But did you hear what Sakurai said? I'm paraphrasing here, but basically he said he realizes that it's really hard to make a very interesting sword character. It would be nice if Nintendo made some characters with axes instead.
Sakurai.
Edelgard!
Sakurai!
Edelgard for Smash confirmed. Just kidding.
My boy.
What did she actually use? She used like a halberd or something? I don't know.
I'm just like,
I don't even know
what she uses. They have characters. They exist. You just only use the stinking Fire Emblem characters with the swords because that's what you do. That was your choice.
Right.
Sakurai.
I will say that if there's ever is going to be another sword user, it should be Isaac from Golden Sun.
Yes.
Because the sword aspect is really not. Although apparently Erdrick's probably gonna be in Smash as well. So
and
actually, that's another thing.
Frog.
Oh, I guess we can talk about Smash now because that wasn't in the direct, right? So first off, Dragon Quest XI's had a really big portion in the direct, probably because Nintendo is publishing it, but also maybe because Erdrick is gonna be a part of the Smash DLC at some point. I think that's fairly likely. I mean, especially because Dragon Quest XI's is not coming out till fall time. So if Joker, which is slated to come out before the end of April, if the next one in line is Erdrick, he would be out before fall time to hype up Dragon Quest XI's. I see that. I kind of see that happening, you know? That
Yeah,
yeah.
I do see that happening.
And actually, what do you think about the like? When do you think they'll reveal the next character? Right, because we haven't even seen gameplay for Joker yet. We just saw like a character model.
I don't think they'll show too much gameplay of Joker. I think they'll show a little bit like they did Piranha Plant, but they're not going to show off every move. I think it'll be like that for every character because they kind of want you to get in and be like, oh, wow, he can do this, and he can do this, and they can do this. Like Piranha Plant, I thought they were going to go in like, here's how this works and this. And nope, they were just like, no, you can figure it out yourself.
Do you want to know what I think?
So I don't think I think they'll do the same thing for
You want to know what I think?
Yeah,
No,
of course.
you
This is a podcast. We, back and forth communication.
Right. No. I think either A, there's going to be a Smash Direct, even though I said a few weeks ago I don't think there would be. Either A, there's going to be another Smash Direct, or there's going to be another Nintendo Direct late March, early April. I think there's going to be some sort of Direct around that time. One, to maybe fill out the April and May months, which have no major Nintendo games coming out. But also to talk more about that DLC update that we're getting, because they did tease a version 3 update. They said they were going to be adding some interesting stuff. I made a video about it, and I suggested there would be a couple new modes added, along with Joker. I think they need to reveal Joker a little bit, and they need to show off the stage and the gameplay just a little bit, like you said, not a lot, but a little bit before it comes out. And they need to talk about what they're going to be adding for Smash Brothers. And I also think it would probably be a good time to maybe show off Persona 5R, or maybe also reveal the next Smash character for Erdrick, or
and
even just talk about games that could come out.
Probably talk about Mario Maker, because that's coming out in June.
Right. Yeah, they got to talk about that game.
I talk about that.
And if
I could definitely see that. I could definitely see an April Direct.
And there could definitely be a game or two to come out in April or May that we don't know about.
Yeah,
also, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 will need to get another update as well. Especially, that'll be around April's the time of when Endgame comes out. So I would have to imagine that Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 would be getting a big marketing push to tie into that game. So I think there probably will be a direct to talk about all of these things between the late March, early April time period.
Yeah, I think it won't be super like announcement heavy for like new games like this one was, but I think it would be more talking about games that are coming out soon. I think it will have a few third-party announcements.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be as big as this one, no. But if it has Metro Prime Trilogy, and they're like, oh, just saying. I know it's... at this point, we probably shouldn't even bring it up until it just happens. But I'm just saying, like, if... Let's say that there's another Nintendo Direct at the end of March, like, right as Yoshi's coming out, to hype up Yoshi one more time, to talk about the Smash DLC. They announce a couple ports. They talk about more of Ultimate Alliance 3. And they announced Metro Prime Trilogy HD for May.
It'd be interesting.
Possible, right? Because if it's at the end of March, and Prime Trilogy comes out around the end of May, that actually is feasible, I think. Right?
Yeah.
I know it's wishful thinking. I know. I'm just putting it out there.
I'd say there's a 20% chance of that happening.
20. I'll take my 20. I'll take my 20.
Yeah, I'm not confident in it, but
no,
I guess
at this point, to be honest with you, I'm thinking the game might not even come out this year. I think the narrative of Nintendo just kind of what?
I think the best window for it would have been like before June.
May still an option. Like I said, man, there's no major Nintendo games for April or May yet.
Yeah,
I think it's weird.
I think Persona 5 will take a spot. I think that will take a month by itself because it's a bigger game. Even though it's not a first-party game, it's a bigger third-party game.
Right.
And it ties into the DLC.
Mortal Kombat's coming out in April.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat's coming.
It's a multi-platform game, but
I think April will kind of be that third-party month.
Right. And Spyro still hasn't been announced yet.
Right, which may or may not be coming.
Right.
I think it is coming eventually. Maybe not this year.
Indeed.
We got Crash and stuff this year, so maybe they'll wait on that. Maybe they couldn't get it out in time before all these big releases are going to hit, so they're just like, we'll just wait a bit, get it out maybe like early next year, so it doesn't get trampled. Because like smaller releases like that are going to get destroyed come like summer and fall.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be stacked. So let's get back to the chat because there's still a lot to cover.
All right.
Robier saying Scalebound, nah. Golden Sun, maybe. Javarion, hello. Shoot to the Furukawa. I think they need to do directs for the big first party games, and then another direct for third party games. It was so boring. You thought it was boring? Well, like the Fire Emblem thing, the pacing was off, but I do like the game announcements. I think they did a pretty good job.
No, it was great. The only part of the direct that I thought was bad pacing was Fire Emblem and the Dragon Quest segment. Other than that, it was great.
I agree. I'm right there with you. Let's see, Darcy. Ononaki looked really cool. Good to see the developers stepping out of their shell after Lost Sphere and I Am Setsuna. That game actually did look really good. I agree with you. I like that art style more than the previous games.
A little more ambitious because I from what I've heard, now I didn't play them because I actually didn't get them because of reviews. Is that they were good games? They weren't bad, but they were a little generic, and they needed them to go a little more ambitious. And it seems how do you pronounce that? Ononaki. Whatever how you pronounce that, it at least seems a lot more ambitious than the other ones, both in graphics and just scope. It seems a lot more ambitious. So I think this is them really, they've made 2 good games, not great, but good games. They were like what, $20, so decently priced. But this is their chance to make like a great game.
Right.
This will be a lot more ambitious.
Yeah. Hello there, Monolith64. What's up, bro? How you doing?
Yo, dude, what up?
Yeah. So let me see. So Sabbath has an interesting question. When do you think Link's Awakening will release? Let's talk about Link's Awakening.
Yeah.
I hope you guys can hear the background music. I have Telltale Heights playing in the background. So, disclaimer: I have not played Link's Awakening yet, so I don't know everything about the game, which is why I'm actually even more excited to play it. But I understand the importance of Link's Awakening, right? So I get it. I get why this is a big deal, right? This is for some people, this is their favorite Zelda game. It's arguably the first Zelda game that started introducing like really weird characters that added a whole other element to Zelda that makes it really unique now. Like, I understand all of that. Like, Link's Awakening is almost kind of like the 2D Majora's Mask in a kind of way. Like, I get all of that.
Right, yeah.
I get it. And it seems really cool, and I'm really excited to see it. When the game was when we saw the cutscene, I was screaming, right? And then when I saw the art style, like, some people on my reaction were like, oh, see, this guy doesn't like it. No, I liked it. I liked it. But it did throw me off at first. I was not... Immediately, when I first saw the art style, I was just like, huh? Okay, this chibi shit? Okay. But then after I thought about it for a little bit, and I saw it in motion, I was like, oh, actually, this looks really cool. It's like watching, like, toys in motion. And that was really interesting. And not to spoil anything specifically, but from what I know of Link's Awakening, it's very dreamlike. And the setting makes sense with the art style, and I think the art style is very fitting to what the game is. So I get that, and I actually really like it.
Awakening is definitely the more, I guess the best way to put it is silliest, or like it's definitely the least serious of like any Zelda game. It is definitely not a serious game, and so it makes sense to have a very not serious art style. And I feel like it's just the wackiest craziest of all the Zeldas. Like, Majora's Mask was weird, but it was like in a really dark way. This is weird in a really like lighthearted, like silly, I guess is the best way to put it way. So it makes sense. The art style definitely makes sense.
Right.
To me.
No, yeah, I think it makes sense. I'm really excited about it. From what I've heard, a couple of additions that they're making is one, there are more buttons now, so you're not locked to just having 2 equip buttons, which you don't have to go back to the start screen crazy anymore, which will make the game flow better. Another interesting thing that we've noticed is that now it's not like screen by screen, like everything when you move it, there's no transitions, like it's all seamless, one whole world you can explore.
And one screen's worth at a time. The camera's definitely pulled back a lot more than the original game, and I guess that's just inherent of having a widescreen display.
Yeah.
Versus, a 4x3 or square display.
Yeah. So, it does, from what we've seen so far, it looks like they're at least making the game better because of, technology, right? I wonder, because I know there was a DX version that was made for the Game Boy Color, and it added a colored dungeon, from what I hear. Do you think that will be in there? I am not so sure it will be. What do you think?
I mean, it could be in there. I feel it gave you something special. I remember the dungeon wasn't anything super great. It was just like, oh, there's color now, so
maybe they could just add a different kind of dungeon in place of that dungeon.
I think they might add something different because I don't feel like the dungeon was super great from what I remember. I never actually played it. I watched somebody else play it, so my memories aren't as, clear as if I had actually played it myself. But I remember it being more simple. It was more just focused on, the fact that there's colors. But there was like a specific reward, and it was pretty good. But it was like different. There was like two different colors of rewards you could pick, and you could like switch between if you went back. But I don't remember what it was. It might have been like a bomb upgrade or an arrow upgrade.
At this point, I'm not gonna expect that dungeon.
Yeah.
But I hope that they add something like I always want more. I always want more. I've never even played this game. I'm probably not going to be notice the difference in terms of content, but I always want more. So there you go. I always want more.
I mean, in my graphics comparison, I noticed it's pretty much the same areas, and it's literally the same areas, and they're all like the same size, the layout's the exact same.
It seems 1-to-1.
1-to-1.
There is one thing that I saw from an analysis that noted that the girl, is her name Marin, the orange hair girl. She's not in the exact same position from
she's not. She's in the Game
Boy,
just like she's on the right side.
Yeah,
when she's on the left side in the Game Boy version.
Right.
Yeah, I noted that in my well, I didn't say it, but I noticed that when I was doing my graphical comparison.
Okay. So
another difference is there was like a fish in an area in the swamp where there wasn't a fish before. So there's like small differences like that, but like the actual
great.
Yeah, the actual game.
Like I remember seeing when the fish would go in the water, you saw the water like come up. Like this is a 2D game that's been remade, and I think it looks stellar. It looks really good to me.
Really
so this is me going back to Savith's question because we never actually answered it. I just used it as an insight as to get into this topic. But he was asking, when do you think we will see Link's Awakening come out?
Asking the tough questions.
It's a really tough question because I have no freaking clue. It might come out December.
Oh, December is the only. It's weird. It's like
I'm gonna say October. October or early November.
Early November.
I think we're gonna be in a situation where there are gonna be some Nintendo published games coming out in the same month, but they might be divided by between 2 or 3 weeks instead.
Right. I could see it coming out the same month
October
as...
or November. That's what it is for me.
I could see it coming the same month as Luigi's Mansion.
Maybe.
I feel like that's... Because I don't want it to release in the same month as Pokemon. Because I feel like Pokemon's really big.
And when the hell is Animal Crossing come out?
Right? Who knows? I feel like that might be a September game.
It could be... for me, I'm thinking Animal Crossing is either December or September. December or September. One or the other.
It could be December. I mean, it's been November for every game other than the original.
Wild World, the DS version, came out in December.
Oh, did it?
I think so.
Maybe in some countries.
Fact check. It's fact check. Time to fact check.
Yeah. I did one for my video that I was going to do. I actually never came up with it. Did I? Did I come up with that with Animal Crossing? I don't remember. Maybe I did come up with that video.
Apparently, when you Google Wild World release date, it does not. The first thing that comes up is not Animal Crossing. Okay, so I'm fact checking myself, and I'm wrong. November 23rd, 2005 is when the game came out.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I bought the game myself in December. Yeah. That's why.
It seemed. I'm pretty sure every mainline.
No, wait. Game, I am right. North America on December 5th, 2005.
Okay.
Japan, November 23. I wasn't wrong.
Okay, Japan.
Right.
Yes, that's the thing is like Japan is different than America, which is different than Europe because back then nothing was consistent.
Right.
So, like I don't even think Japan. I think was the only country who got the N64 version of Animal Crossing, and then we all got it on the GameCube.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
But for generally, depending on which region you're talking about, it comes out like November pretty much every time. Other mainline ones do. Spin-offs are different. But yeah, so I could see it trying to get as close as possible, maybe coming December. It'd be nice to play that during like Christmas or something. I'd hope it come earlier, but you know what? They need to get it out in December. I see how it is, but I hope so.
I think there's definitely a game coming out in December. With the amount of games that there are, there's no way there's not at least one December game.
Yeah.
No way.
And they've shown, Animal Crossing might be coming in December. They've shown other games that we know to be coming out like late this year that we've seen gameplay footage of. We've seen gameplay footage of Luigi's Mansion. We've seen gameplay footage of Zelda. So we haven't seen anything of Animal Crossing. So it kind of makes sense, maybe that will be the latest one.
And Pokemon. Yeah, Pokemon and Animal Crossing could be the latest ones. November and December. And then Zelda and Luigi's Mansion could be like the September, October games. Daemon X Machina comes out somewhere. Like, I could see Astral Chain and Daemon X Machina being in the same month, actually.
Is it same month as what?
I could see Astral Chain and Daemon X Machina coming out in the same month.
Yeah, I mean, it's August.
Or even if they're not the same month, like, Daemon X Machina would come out like 2 weeks after. Like into September, like early September, we see Daemon X Machina, and then at the end of Daemon X Machina, at the end of September, we get Luigi's Mansion and Zelda. What?
Yeah, that would technically still be summer, if it was in like the first 2 weeks of September, right?
Maybe. I'm not really good with that, but probably.
Yes. Yeah. So I mean, it's possible. I don't think it will be that late.
Well, if you think about Nintendo, whenever they give us a season, it's always like either at the very end of the season or slightly after. So
it's either at the end of the season or delayed.
So we should probably project Daemon X Machina for the end of September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Maybe.
September.
Maybe.
Who knows? Pokemon and Animal Crossing come out on the same day? No.
Simon Show said Simon uses an axe in reference to the Sakurai joke from earlier.
Yeah.
He does use an axe, but he only chucks it. He doesn't smash with it. Be cool if he did that. But that's not how he plays in the game. So there was something that Roby said that I want to talk about. He said, guys, I really don't think that a Prime Trilogy is happening. It just would not work out. Then he said maybe a Metroid 5 since it was canceled long ago. I actually think we're going to get both a 2D Metroid and Prime Trilogy before Metroid Prime 4 comes out. But that's a big gap, okay? Because Metroid Prime 4 is years away. So when we see them, I don't know. Prime Trilogy has been reported by several insiders. The thinking is that either A, it's been delayed to come out closer to when Metroid Prime 4 comes out, or B, it's just one of those things where Nintendo has just not announced it yet.
Right.
And they also maybe have simply moved it up a little bit. Maybe, it's going to come out later this year, or maybe it's going to come out in place of whenever Prime 4 was going to come out, whether that's like December this year or like sometime next year. But based off, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you anymore. There's so many different ways it could go. But
I definitely think it's coming eventually. I don't see why it wouldn't.
I think it's definitely coming eventually, but eventually can mean so much. Eventually it could be sometime this year. It could be next year. It could be the year after. I'm almost at the point where
this year or next year.
Like, I do not plan on making any more videos about Prime Trilogy until we get an official announcement.
Yeah.
Unless there's like some really cool ass rumor that comes out that's super believable, right? If not, then I'm not gonna dwell on it for now.
Every game remade in Unreal Engine 4 with a new boss for every single one, and that multiplayer from 2, completely redone to full online multiplayer. There you go.
So
here for
Darcy actually brought up an interesting question. Are we gonna see any more DLC this year? Parentheses that we don't know about yet for games that are already out. So well, yeah, we already know about Starlink getting some content. Some people think that might be taking away from their Star Fox Grand Prix being real.
I don't think so.
I'm skeptical of that, but we'll see. But in reference to there being other DLC coming out for other games, I've pretty much given up on Mario Odyssey DLC.
Where is my Mario Kart DLC?
Or Mario Kart DLC.
Where is it?
Unless there is this thing that came up that could have been its own topic. I forgot to put it as its own topic. VR. The report is that VR is coming to the Nintendo Switch. This is coming from Arcade Girl 64, which is Emily Rogers. She wrote up about VR coming to the Nintendo Switch. We may be seeing it this year. There's a rumor that the VR might be Labo related. And if that's the case, maybe they'll add VR to certain Nintendo games like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. They added Labo functionality to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, so if there's Labo VR, that might be added to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. That might be DLC, and there you go. Those are Mario Kart DLC. I could even see maybe them making a VR platformer DLC expansion to Mario Odyssey. Like, so, you know, if we're not getting normal DLC, if there's Labo VR, they might add DLC for that.
Right.
Maybe.
Oh god, can't wait to play my 360p Labo VR.
It's
gonna be great.
I'm very skeptical of this.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be the best
very
thing.
Skeptical of this. So for those who don't know, the Switch has a 720p screen, and usually for VR monitors, you need a really high resolution. Brandon, I know you know a little bit more about this, so if you want to shed your 2 cents, by all means.
Essentially, when you play VR, it splits. If you either have 2 separate screens per eye, you have 1 screen per eye, so you have 2 screens essentially in a headset. Or if you use something like a phone, which is essentially what the Switch would be, it'd be closest to something like Google Cardboard. There's a line down the middle of your screen, and it renders 2 images on your screen, which means one eye is seeing one side, one eye is seeing the other, which means you can only use half the resolution of your screen. So the max resolution of the Switch is 720p. You cut that in half, that's 360p. And since it has to render the entire game per eye, the game is rendered at 360p twice, which means you're seeing 360p game, but it fills up your entire vision. So essentially, it's like a little bit better resolution than your 3DS, but if you shoved your 3DS onto a screen and then you shove your face into the screen, and that's how it looks. It's really bad. I've played it on my phone, which is a 720p screen, and it's smaller. It's a smaller display, so technically that should look better, and it looks bad. It looks bad. I mean, it's kind of, maybe they could do something that's impressive in an art style way, but it's not gonna look sharp or detailed. So maybe if they do something
unless VR comes with an additional screen or something. I don't
know. It'd have to come with a better screen, which I don't think they'd do that for VR or Labo, especially.
Be really expensive. I mean, maybe they could somehow pull it off for $100. Like it's like an expansion to the Switch where you plug it into the Switch, but then it makes it even bigger, right? So I don't know. Is there a way they could like? So you know how like the 3DS technically has 2 screens inside of it? It's 3 actually.
The 3DS?
Right, so I mean you have the touchscreen, right? That's what I mean by the third screen, but the 3DS has 2 screens that converge on each other on the top panel. You know what I'm talking about to create the 3D effect? There's 2 different screens there.
It's something like that. I don't know exactly how it works, to be honest.
Right, okay. But the point I'm trying to make is that maybe they could have a peripheral that you buy that's like $100, and maybe it's a second screen that goes on top of the Switch screen. Then it creates a better resolution and also enables VR. That might be completely wrong and not even possible, but I'm just kind of like spitballing.
I don't know, because the 3DS combines them into one image to make the 3D effect at the same resolution, but I don't see how that would work for VR.
Well, I'm not saying it worked the same way. I'm simply saying because they have 2 screens inside a panel. I'm just saying like I feel like it's possible that they can maybe get another screen in there somehow. But if it's not built for, I don't know. It's just
it doesn't make any sense to me because I mean, unless you had the Switch screen for one eye and this other screen for the other eye.
Right, like what if the headset is that? Like you put in the Switch dock at an angle.
It wouldn't work. They'd have to be next side by side.
I don't know.
Flat.
I don't know how this would work.
Big ass headset like this big.
I don't know how this is gonna work. It's gonna be interesting to see. I'm at least curious how it's gonna pan out, but I am not very confident in its quality. So we'll see how that pans out.
Put it this way, the Oculus Rift has 2 1080p screens in it, so 1080p per eye, and people still are like, this is kind of blurry. or I think
Wow.
it's either 900p or 1080p. It's still like it's not the blur. It's not. So they're actually coming out with a 1440p version, and that's supposed to look sharp. But the 1080p one per eye looks a little blurry to most people. We're talking 360p per eye for the Switch.
Wow.
Yeah, not good.
Damn. So, is there any sort of other game that we haven't really touched on that we should talk about? We want to talk about at least. I can think of one.
Okay, shoot.
There might be more, but there's at least one. Tetris 99.
Yeah.
That game is lit and is free and it's great and I like it and I love it. It's trending. It's a big deal. Tetris 99 is great. I was thinking there wasn't going to be like a great Nintendo game to come out in February. Boy, was I wrong. Tetris 99 shadow dropped. It's great. I love it, man.
The online at least. If you don't, you should buy the online service.
And that's an interesting thing, though. So, Tetris 99 is like actually adding legitimate quality to the Nintendo Online service. So, like, what if they do this from now on? That they add like more free to play games if you have the Nintendo Online service, right? So we already have the NES games. Imagine they add the Super Nintendo games. So then you have NES games, you have Super Nintendo games, you have Tetris 99. Maybe they add a few more games like that. All of a sudden, you know, like, hey, getting the Nintendo Online service is actually pretty cool, you know?
Yeah, for sure. They just need a few more games like Tetris 99. Maybe have some SNES games in there, and I think
more Battle Royale games.
Yes, other Battle Royale games.
Zelda Breath of the Wild, Battle Royale. Yo, how cool would that be, though? I know I'm just joking here, but what if? What if they released a spin-off of Breath of the Wild where it's set in the giant map of Hyrule, and there's different links that you can customize, right? And it's basically one giant medieval war with giant bosses everywhere trying to kill you.
Just wondering
they had more overworld bosses. They had more dragons flying around trying to actually eat you instead of just being cool. And then more Hinoxes and Lynels, and then they add the sand monsters, and then they even add a couple more lakes that have giant Octorok squid monsters, and everyone's just dying from all these giant bosses, but at the same time they're killing each other, and you're trying to get to the castle in the middle where there's Calamity again and killing everyone, and you have to work to get. Actually, it's a team game. Instead of killing each other, you have to work together, fighting all of these bosses to get to the middle of the map and beat Calamity again before time runs out.
That'd be dope.
It'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
I think it would definitely have to be smaller map than Breath of the Wild, because Breath of the Wild's
it's perfect.
50 times bigger map than any other Battle Royale game.
The bigger, the better.
It's just too big.
No,
it's like a million times bigger than Fortnite,
like
Apex,
it's just right.
Black Ops.
It's perfect size.
Maybe if you can ride dragons, you need some way to get around in the time limit. It takes you 20 minutes just to get from one side of the map to the other.
So it's gonna be a long game. It's 60 minutes.
There you go, and an hour-long match, because that's exactly what the people.
Maybe when you die, you don't. I agree that needs to be shorter, because the thing is, even if you can get respawned, it's a 60-minute play session, that wouldn't make sense. It would have to be a shorter play session. I agree. But I don't think they should make the map smaller.
It needs to be
the bigger the better, man.
No, it could just be like a scaled down version of the map. It's just same areas, but they're smaller.
I don't like it.
It's a Battle Royale. You don't need it to be big. You're not looking around as much.
That's why I like them, because they're big maps.
Yeah, I mean, you can have ones
you're right. You're right about this game. That's probably never gonna happen. But I just want to put on the record that we were talking about Breath of the Wild Battle Royale before anyone else.
Yeah, you were the one.
Right. We also were talking about Scalebound back in 2017 coming to Switch. So just putting that out there too.
Zelda GoldenEye. There you go.
Now let's we're nearing the end of the discussion, guys. So if there's anything else you guys want us to cover or talk about, ask us in the chat. About. Yeah, if there's a game we haven't talked about that you want to talk about.
We didn't talk about enough. We mentioned it, and then we got distracted, and that's Mario Maker. We grazed it, and then we just flew by.
Well, I want it. That's all I know. Really.
I feel like we could talk about some stuff there. We didn't talk about anything that they added.
I liked that they added the 3D world thing and the cat suit and the slopes.
Yeah.
I have to go back and watch the trailer. But was there at one point where it was angled?
Angled? What
Like
do you
the
mean?
camera was angled, like it wasn't just a normal standard camera, like it was angled.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't think so.
I have to go back and watch
I
it.
feel like they did have more. I don't know if maybe there was a lot of There wasn't like a huge amount of verticality in the original version. Like you could make some levels with some verticality, but this one definitely seemed like there was a level where you were just going up. And I feel like I saw it wrong and maybe only going up for a little bit, but it looked like there was a level where you're just going up. So I wonder if you could actually make a level where you need to get to the top to get to the goal. Because in the original you could make one, I guess, but it'd be like really short. Or you'd have to be going up and then back down and then up and back down. But I feel like maybe they're having a level where you could just go straight up to get to the top. I feel like that'd be a really big change.
Yeah, there's so much you could do with that, right? Like just by adding a couple more features, you exponentially increase the amount of things people can do with the creation of these maps.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I've heard some people talk about maybe transferring over all of the Wii U Mario Maker stages. I don't think that's going to happen at all. They're going to start from scratch.
Yeah. I'm wondering how the online will be different since there's no Miiverse or anything.
Right.
Kind of revolves around Miiverse.
I hope they have just a better infrastructure in place where you can just message people, communicate with people on a server.
Yeah.
So
I like
all these different stages.
Miiverse. The Miiverse integration in that game was probably the best Miiverse ever. Like, the best Miiverse thing ever. It was great. You could rank it, and you could leave, like, comments, and I believe you could, like, leave comments at specific points in the level, and you could, like, even leave, like, tips and stuff, so if you could turn tips on and see what other people said to get through, it was great. It was awesome. It was, like, the best Miiverse integration I've ever seen. It was awesome, and like not having that would be kind of lame. So I wonder if they'll implement something, but not have it, system wide, just within Mario Maker. So I'm hoping they don't just ditch all those features. Like, people didn't like Miiverse, then they didn't like this either. Screw it all. Like, no, we actually did like this part.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm pretty excited about it. So it's coming out in June, dude. I can't wait for it. And I'm not really concerned about losing the touchscreen aspects of it either. And you can probably use that in handheld.
I think it will be partner controls. What was it? I think it was just using the joysticks, I think. What it felt like. It didn't feel like they were like pointing it or anything. Like some people were like, "Oh, you can use, pointer controls or something." But it didn't seem like they were using gyros. It seems like they were just clicking a button.
They had the radial dials.
Yeah.
So
I imagine they were just holding a button and then using the joystick to go around the dial, or they click the button, you click another button to go through the menu. Like a lot of people were like, "Oh, you could use the joystick and have just motion controls and click and do the exact same touch replica." And I wonder if they will have that as well as an option.
I don't know. I honestly don't. I don't. To be honest with you, like I know I want Mario Maker. I don't really have much more to say on it. Like it's just kind of like, that's the game. I know what it is. I know what it is. I want it. Now I will say that for Mario Maker 1, I did put a lot of time into it. But for me, I didn't make too many crazy levels. I kind of just focused on playing a lot of crazy levels. And it really did offer me a great deal of pain and suffering, and I mean that in the nicest, best way possible. Like I enjoyed my pain and suffering. Like there were some ridiculous levels, and I just would scream and like contort my controller in frustration in an effort to beat them, and I did. I beat most of them.
I think,
but it took a long time.
The levels I liked to make the most were like the automatic, like don't move levels. Or just hold right levels. I like those. I like
the roller coaster levels. The roller coaster levels. One other cool thing that I'm pretty sure they're gonna bring it back, but I would. But if they don't, I'll be disappointed. Is how like there is a sprite for like almost every Nintendo character, right? At least like from Smash and stuff. I want to see that again. Like I want to be able to play as Bulbasaur and Pikachu and Samus and Link. Like I hope that comes back.
I imagine what they did with this game is they brought over everything from the base game and then they just added more stuff.
Here's one cool thing, and I don't remember if they changed it. So these sprites were from the 8-bit form, but did they have the updated 8 bits for every character or no? Like, you know, there's different like graphical styles. I don't remember there being updated graphical styles for each sprite.
No, I believe you could only use them in
the basic
mode.
one. Right. So what if they went that extra mile, and for every graphical style, every sprite has like a version for that? I feel like it's probably not going to happen, especially with the 3D world style.
Yeah.
But if they did, oh my god, that would be incredible.
So cool.
It would be so cool. I would love the heck out of that. Oh my god. I take it back. There is far more to talk about in Mario Maker than I originally thought about.
And I think there's the potential for them to add new things, like the weird skinny mushroom in the original Mario Maker that was like brand new thing that they happened to come from like a
Waluigi mode.
What?
It was Waluigi mode.
Oh, is that what they call it? Is that what people call it? But yeah, I feel like there's potential for like new wacky things like that that aren't even in other Mario games that they could add to this. And I'm interested to see if they will add anything like that.
Do you think there's gonna be any other graphical styles, or is 3D World the only addition?
I would love a Mario Odyssey theme.
I would love a Mario Odyssey theme. That might be a bit hard to pull off in 3D World. Right. If that happens, that would be bonkers. And I've heard a lot of people request Mario Brothers 2 theme, right? As well.
Yeah, I've heard some requests for that back when the original one. People thought they were gonna add that as DLC. I don't know if that was in this one. I would also like Mario Galaxy, dude.
Ooh.
That would look
Mario
awesome.
Galaxy is actually a great option because they even have 2D pan. Yeah, Mario Galaxy makes more sense than Odyssey actually. It'd be easier to do.
There seems to be more than just basic themes. There seems like backgrounds as well. Like there was like, I don't remember if there was how many of these were in the original, but there was like space and a bunch of different ones. I don't remember what they were, but I remember space specifically, like different backgrounds, not only just themes, which was cool.
Yeah, I know. That's pretty cool. I hope they have more background themes as well. That'd be interesting to see. There's a few more games I want to talk about though, Brandon. But let's first go through the chat. There's one game that I want to talk about. It's the Hellblade game. But, I mean, I don't have the... Actually, I'll just talk about it now because I don't have that much to say on it. Maybe you do. But one, it looks really good. The Hellblade. You know what I'm talking about, right? It's also interesting because I know originally it was a PS4 game. It eventually... And PC. Then came to Xbox. And it was made by Team Ninja. But then Team Ninja was bought out by Xbox and now owned by Xbox since 2018. So while it originally came out on PlayStation... Eventually came out for Xbox, but then Xbox obtained the rights because they obtained Team Ninja, and now Hellblade is coming to the Nintendo Switch, despite the fact that Xbox owns Team Ninja. Who
I've heard that since it came out before the acquisition, they held the legal rights to put that on any platform they wanted. Which is why it can come to the Switch. That's just what I've heard. That might not be correct. It may be due to a partnership with Xbox and Nintendo.
No, for just correcting me. You're saying Ninja Theory, not Team Ninja. Thank you.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
That's what I've heard from people like was it Liam Robertson? I think it might have been. People of that sort have been saying things like that. So, I tend to believe it.
That makes sense. I was going to go into speculation mode and be like, oh, what does this say about the relationship between Nintendo and Microsoft, right?
Right. It could. I mean, they could very well be wrong. But from what I've heard, it was part of like the deal that since that game came out, they can release on anything they wanted. So just because it had already come on the PlayStation and stuff, they didn't want to have to like take it down from the store or anything.
And just, I don't want to delve too deep into this because I don't think there's too much to it. But, one other game that I thought about before more information came out when we were talking about the game that Imran Khan was talking about that was being resurrected was Banjo, right? I was thinking about that, like, oh, what if Nintendo is doing Banjo 3, like they're publishing Banjo 3 and it's some sort of collaborative effort with Microsoft, right? And this is just kind of spurring off all of the speculation based off Xbox Live being on Switch. Now we see Hellblade, but after that explanation you gave, that makes more sense. Just a crazy theory. and I don't think it's real. I don't think it's happening, but for a few reasons. One, because that would be so extraordinary. It's just hard to believe just because of that alone. But also, two, Imran Khan said it's a game that's a publicly known game that's been canceled. Banjo 3 is not that, right?
Doesn't really fit the bill there.
Right, and also Microsoft has the rights to it. That's another issue, right? Mm-hmm. So these are all these issues, and then there's
Nintendo exclusive.
Maybe like a collaborative effort where it comes out on both systems.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, just because I think Xbox,
like if they co-published it together, maybe.
Right. You know, they did announce Microsoft, their game studio isn't going to be called Microsoft Game Studio anymore. It's going to be called Xbox Game Studio. So, like, even on the PC, everything's going to be referred to as Xbox. If something comes to the phone, it's going to be referred as, like, the Xbox version still. So, even if it's not on an Xbox. So, it seems like they're really going for that service look. So, they may just be like, you know what? What the hell? You know, Nintendo's, they got an audience for Banjo. They got a lot of units. We don't really care about selling things on only Xbox, and we haven't for a while.
Right. And Banjo wouldn't sell that well on Xbox anyway.
So why not put it on Nintendo? We'll take up 40% of all profits, and there you go.
Right, but then does Nintendo want to do that?
Yeah, they do.
Do they?
Of course they do.
Do they?
Why would they not want to do that? It's more money. They didn't even develop the game.
Well, how much money is it?
I don't think it matters.
If they co-publish it, I don't know. I think it's possible. It's not. If we go back a year ago, it seemed crazy. Now it seems possible. Maybe not likely, but it seems possible, right?
Yeah.
So, let's go over the chat. Some of you guys brought up some interesting things. Savage saying Legend of Zelda GoldenEye. You get to use a Epona. Oh, because this is going back to the Breath of the Wild Battle Royale thing.
Epona is not really fast enough
unless everyone gets the Epona bike.
Even so, it's barely faster than
Turbo and Nitrous.
There you go. You need to be able to cross the map in like 5-10 minutes.
And Loft Wings.
There you go, Loft Wings. That's how you do it.
Awesome.
That's how you do it.
No Filter had a couple things to bring up. He said, "What are your guys' thoughts on Rune Factory for a game that Stardew Valley drew inspiration from? I find it odd how most seem to just ignore it. Thoughts? Well, I think the problem is that most haven't played it, myself included.
Yeah, I didn't even know it. The trailer didn't really do a good job of saying what it was.
Right.
They just showed like inside a house, and they were like, "Oh, it's remastered graphics." And I was like, "What is this game?" I honestly thought it was an RPG.
Yeah, I mean, I see it. I mean, I'm not trying to throw any shade on it. I've never played it, so I can't really. I have nothing to add.
I didn't know what it was. I didn't know it was made by Stardew Valley. I didn't know, or not made by, inspired Stardew Valley. I didn't know it was the same type of gameplay. I didn't know what the hell it was because they didn't tell me. They don't tell you what it is. They just kind of assume you already knew what it was.
Well, I mean, there is a fan base, obviously. Yeah. So maybe I should give Rune Factory a try then.
Yeah, I need to actually play Stardew Valley more, but every time I stream it, nobody watches, so it's like, I don't feel like playing it.
No, Stardew Valley is a giant existential crisis, so no thanks. I played too much of that, and it just made me feel depressed. So
I like that game.
It's good. No, I like it. I enjoyed it too. It just,
if I actually had time sitting down playing a game like
any game that's like a life simulation to even a small extent, kind of just throws me for a mental loop. So No Filters also said another great thing about the Direct is all the shadow drops, like the 4 things of the media satisfaction. Yeah, Daemon X Machina, Yoshi's Crafted World, and especially Tetris 99. Oh my god, I love Tetris 99. So good. So good. I'm very, very happy about that. And there's also the Captain Toad DLC level if you pre-order the game or something, or you buy it. You can play the DLC level. It's really cool. I appreciate that. Also, nice what listen. Nice podcast, guys. Glad to be back listening. Hey, glad to have you back, man. Thank you. So Savith said, "Do you guys find it weird that they haven't talked about the online service in the Direct, especially about the rumored SNES games coming to it? They also removed the SNES games from the recent patch."
Well, I feel like Tetris 99 was the big push for the online service. So maybe they're doing SNES.
Well, I don't think that's the only thing. I think that's part of their push.
I just meant for that Direct. Like,
right.
That's
yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. It's just not at this point, and I'm gonna say, Brandon, remember how I said I don't think the SNES games will be at the Direct? Ha!
You'd say that.
I
Hey.
got one. I got one. One.
Yeah.
Been wrong about a whole bunch of other shit though. So you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Track
Yeah.
record. That last strike was not great.
No. No. Well, hey, I got Scalebound. I got
Maybe.
sort of. That was like stupid ass speculation like a long time ago, but I still said it. So there you go. But you know, yeah, man. I mean, I'm overall though. Let's get to the point of grading the Nintendo Direct though. So,
Okay.
what kind of scoring system should we use? 1 to 10, or grades like
1 to
letters?
10, 1 to 100 letters.
Let's use the 10-point system. But you know, if you want to put like a 9.5 or 6.6, that's okay.
Sure. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't have to go first. I just.
I'm ready. I'm good to go first.
I'm not ready, so you know it's fine.
Okay, there you go. Well, I think just because there was so much good third party, there were huge first party announcements, and there were like 3 games that we freaked out. Mario Maker, Link's Awakening, Astral Chain. We were hyped. Like we maybe didn't freak out about Astral Chain, but you know, we sort of got like real hyped for that one. We're like, oh, this looks really cool. And there were tons of third-party surprises, and it was just very surprising. A lot of stuff that we didn't know about. And even though it didn't have more information on some games that we wanted, like Animal Crossing, like we're still getting Animal Crossing, guys. We just didn't get more information about it. It's not like Animal Crossing's not coming. So I don't care too much about that. So I think, you know, there's a lot of really cool surprises. So honestly, I have to give it like a B+ or an A. As towards, I guess we're doing score.
Just do number. Just
9.
Oof.
9. There you go. 9 out of 10.
That's pretty solid. Really good.
8.5,
really good score.
9, something like that.
Okay. I'm feeling a solid 8. I'm a solid 8.
Okay.
So 8's good. It's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's good.
But here's the reason why it's an 8. Okay. So I'm gonna first talk about the negative things, and then I'm gonna talk about the good things.
Okay.
So the bad things about it. One, the Dragon Quest XI thing, the Fire Emblem thing. I'm glad those games were there, right? Like those are positives that they were there, but they dragged on too much. I don't like that aspect of the directs. How they kind of do these. I don't even like them as deep dives because the Dragon Quest XI S1 wasn't as bad to me because they were kind of just saying, "Oh, this game has this, and this." The Fire Emblem one,
there was a reason for it because we needed to there's the new feature to make it the definitive edition.
But I also didn't. I'm gonna be frank with you. The graphics didn't impress me. But whatever. Maybe I'm just too hard to impress.
I thought it looked good.
I felt like the textures were blurry and whatever. But whatever. It's besides the point. It still looked good. It's just fine. It's still fine. It's a fine looking game. And I like all the additions they have. Like especially like the retro mode. Like that's cool. Like they brought in that feature from the 3DS version. This is like Dragon Quest XI S is like on the Switch might be the best version of the game, even though the graphics aren't as good as PS4 one.
Right.
So that's cool. But just going back to my point though, mainly the Fire Emblem portion is just, you know, it's kind of dragged on. Like the way it was described, I don't need that. I don't need that. It's not gonna make me want the game more, right? Save that for the Fire Emblem Direct, right? So you know that part just like I'm cool with getting information about the game, but there's a much more efficient way to do it than that.
I agree.
So that kind of made the Direct a little for me. But in terms of content, I think the Direct was great, right? There's a lot of great games there. And I'm going to say that for the second part of my explanation for why I gave it an 8. Another thing that was kind of bad about the Direct isn't the fact there were certain games. It's not that there were certain games that I was wanting that weren't there. That's not why the score's at an 8 and not like a 9 or a 10. It's because there are no games for excluding Tetris 99, and that definitely helps out a lot. But excluding Tetris 99, there's nothing for February. We just have Yoshi at the end of March. Nothing for April. Nothing for May. Everything else is like summer and beyond. So that did not fill me with a lot of good confidence for the near future. Like the future, like the next couple of months are we kind of drab for the Switch in terms of first party games. So that kind of lowers the score for me a little bit. But I did think Nintendo at least did something to offer some value during this time. Like, one, we got just Tetris 99, the Shadow Drop. That's great. We got Daemon X Machina and Yoshi's Crafted World demos. That's great, right? There's a Captain Toad DLC. That's great. The Starlink DLC in April. That's great. The reference to the Smash DLC. That's great. It wasn't very hyped because it didn't have much to show, but all of those things do kind of make the... It helps to fill up the gap between now and summertime. Not enough, but it does help a little bit, right? And then, of course, we got Mario Maker 2 announcement. That's awesome. We got Astral Chain. That's awesome. We got to see Fire Emblem. We got to see Dragon Quest XI's. Hellblade looks incredible. And then Link's Awakening. Like, if Link's Awakening wasn't revealed at the end, I might have said the direct was more like a 6.57-ish, right?
Yeah, I would have said that, like...
Link's Awakening at the end really just... It did a fantastic job. It got me really excited. I'm very excited for the game. It's my second most anticipated game of the year, besides Pokemon. And I could easily see Link's Awakening be my favorite game of the year if Pokemon and Game Freak dropped the ball on this game, right? And that's possible. Game Freak, they make good Pokemon. They always make a good game, but it's not always great, right? So I could easily see Link's Awakening being the best game of the year for me. That's possible. But there are some games that, that could be beyond that. But anyway, for all those reasons, I think the Direct was good, but I want to, and that's why I give it an 8. But there is, well, one, it's good because there's a lot of good games, but also it kind of shows us how many great games are coming this year. But here's the thing. We're talking about how there's so many games slated for 2019 that are, like, really, really good. But I've also seen some people suggest that maybe a couple other games, that because they weren't shown off, they weren't revealed, might be getting delayed. What if they're right? We didn't think Metro Prime 4 would be delayed. It was.
Different situation.
I agree. But I'm just, I'm playing devil's advocate here. What if they are getting delayed? Right? Because here's the thing, man. Like, Daemon X Machina, Dragon Quest XI's, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, Link's Awakening, Mario Maker 2, like, Luigi's Mansion 3, Animal Crossing, Pokemon, Town, Tetris 99, like, the list keeps building, right? And there's probably going to be more games announced throughout the year. So, it just kind of like, where do they fit all these games? Like, it's going to be tight. It's going to be more than one game per month,
I think it's just like 2017. I think there were a lot of games. People thought it couldn't happen. People were like, nope, Xenoblade has to give. It's gonna get delayed. It's not coming December. And guess what? Every game came. They didn't get delayed. They fit it in. And I think it's the same thing. People tend to, when Nintendo starts looking like they're going to do something right, they spell doom and gloom. They're like, nope, Nintendo has to ruin it. There's no way Nintendo could come out with good content the entire second half of the year, or come up with this much stuff. Every time they see something good from Nintendo, they're like, no, we have to be not seeing something. There has to be something wrong that we're not seeing. And a lot of time it's just, no, it just was really good. So yeah. I think anything's going to get delayed.
I would err on the side of probably any game that is listed as 2019 more than once during the investors meetings, probably still 2019 game. Right. So for games like Pokemon and Animal Crossing, I think they're still safe. And Luigi's Mansion was only just recently confirmed for 2019. I'm not concerned about that. We saw gameplay for it.
You've already seen gameplay.
Games that I should have been concerned for were Prime 4 and Bayonetta 3. They were TBA, right?
Yeah, we were already concerned about those. To be honest,
right. we were talking about hoping.
But
like I was always saying, hey, it's possible these games could come out, but I wasn't saying for sure, and I was banking on it that they would, but I know I was wrong. Mm-hmm. But I also always recognize that they might not come out, right? So, I don't think these games are going to be delayed. I understand some people do think that, and I just think it's worth mentioning because it's looking stacked, dude. It's looking really stacked. Next week I might set up a whole graphic so we can manipulate it during the podcast and try to guess out every single game throughout the year and try and figure that out because we have a better picture of it now than we did a couple months ago. Because it's a lot. It's a lot, man. And I still think Prime Trilogy is an option. Pikmin 3 is an option.
I do think
I mean, not Starlink,
that
Star
there
Fox Grand Prix.
will not be any. I think nothing will get delayed, but I think we're not going to get as many new announcements as we typically do for big titles.
Maybe.
I think we might
That
one medium, Metroid Prime Trilogy HD, and then like a port, and that's it. Like I don't think we're going to see that many titles. Maybe another medium one like Star Fox Grand Prix. But I think that honestly, I think they'll announce Star Fox Grand Prix, and it'll be early next year. I think that'll be one of the. I think that's.
I agree with you. I agree that they could reveal it at E3, but it won't come out till next year. I agree.
I think that's what we're going to see in E3. I think we're going to see a bunch of new information for games we're super hyped for this year. We're going to see a small glimpse of a game or two for next year, and we'll see like a medium, one or two, one medium-sized game like Metroid Prime, and then a port, and that's it. Like typically we get more than that at E3, but we've already seen so much that I think instead of delaying stuff because there's too much, I think we just got a lot of it earlier than usual.
Yeah, I hope you're right. I think you're right. So I'm inclined to agree. Now I'm controlling the narrative here, so I'm gonna end it off with a little bit of speculation on Pokemon. And I brought it up earlier. Pokemon, I think, will be the big focus of E3. Like, I think that's going to be the star of the show. I think Animal Crossing will be there. I think Zelda is going to be there. I think Mario Maker is going to be there. Like, they're all going to have a presence. But Pokemon... Actually, I mean, between Pokemon, Animal Crossing, Mario Maker, Luigi's Mansion 3, and then Zelda being the focus of the show, that's going to be a great E3. Like, people are going to be excited about that. Like, in terms of playable form.
Yeah. I don't think
happy about that.
This year we'll get a theme. I think it might be one of those years where it's multi-themed. Like, there's different sections that have cool stuff for a bunch of different games.
Maybe it's like a Pokemon Animal Crossing, like...
Yeah, I think it'll be multiple games thrown in there. I think they'll have a Zelda... Honestly, I think it'll be probably Pokemon, Animal Crossing, and Zelda. They'll have sections for those. Maybe Luigi's Mansion as well, but probably I'm thinking maybe that one won't get one.
Okay.
Obviously, it'll have a playable demo, but it won't have like a theme section. But I think those three games will get like theme sections. You know how they did for like Breath of the Wild, but they'll do it for not one, because I don't feel like there's one big game that needs to seal the whole show with the theme.
I just realized something.
It just
I just realized something, Brandon.
What?
You have a beard.
Yes, I've had one.
It's like is it lined all the way across your jawline?
No, it's missing here.
I just noticed that right now. Like this is coming all across. I'm sorry. It's so random.
Where have you been?
You're growing before my eyes.
I've had one for so long.
Oh man. So what was I gonna say?
No, because you
completely derailed the conversation. 100%. Well, I think it's about time to end the discussion. There's one thing I wanted to end off, and I forgot what it was. Oh, right. Okay, so Pokemon. And by the way, guys, if there's anything else you want us to address, there's your chance. I'm gonna end the discussion within 3-4 minutes. So. I think you saw my video. Yeah, you did. You saw my video about the Pokemon Direct. I'm predicting that's going to happen. There's a Pokemon Gen 8 announcement going to happen this month. That's my prediction. And I had some supporting evidence for that. If you want to see that, check my channel. Right? What do you think? How do you feel about Generation 8 finally getting revealed? Now, I don't necessarily think it'll be gameplay 100% for sure. I hope, but I'm thinking we're at least going to get a name drop. Last year. Not last year, but Generation 7, it was announced in February, a day before Pokemon Day. And then Generation 6 was announced in January. So, with like actual name drops, do you think we'll get a name drop this February, right before Pokemon Day as well?
I think we will. I think we'll get something of it. Honestly, I think, and I said this in the comments of your video, I think they will show off gameplay or in-engine footage sooner than they usually do, because I think this will be such a big leap, and they're going to want to show that off, and I think there's going to be a ton of different gameplay mechanics that they can show off later in the year, because usually, they show off concept art, and then they show off gameplay, and then they show off new things, but I feel like there's going to be so much that they're going to want to start that process a little bit earlier than usual, but starting with an in-engine footage at least.
It's an interesting point, and something I want to add to that is that if you think about all of the Pokemon reveals, whenever they show them, it's always mixed with like, you know, like kids and adults playing around, running around. There's some sort of story adventure going on with like the connection between people. Pokemon's really big about that, the interaction between people and traversal globally and all that stuff. They always put that in there. They always talk about the history of Pokemon. They always tie these different things into their reveal trailers. And like they always try to they always try to put a lot of cool stuff to surround the game, because the fact of the matter is the games themselves have always looked pretty simplistic and they're not really showstoppers. But now that's not it shouldn't be an excuse anymore, because the games should look really good, right? And just for the record, I know it's Yokai Watch 4 that we have gameplay for the Switch, right?
Yes.
That game does not look good to me. It looks okay. So it's like, okay, whatever. It's like a whatever kind of game. It's not ugly. I'm just saying it looks okay. Like, I would say Let's Go looks better than that. Like, maybe Yokai Watch is a bit more ambitious in terms of, like, the dynamic camera and the world you can explore. But in terms of, like, aesthetic appeal and sharpness and presentation, I feel like Let's Go is a lot more polished.
Let's Go is a lot more polished. Although it still doesn't have anti-aliasing, which makes no sense because you can tell there's so much headroom for that game.
Right, yeah. And there's even frame drops, which makes zero sense to me because that graphics there are not that technically demanding.
Yeah, I feel like that game was kind of quick.
Maybe.
I think it was definitely made by the secondary studio that does like the Ultra version, like Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon stuff.
Well,
like they make
it was
secondary.
Though that's why I'm like I don't know.
I don't think it was made by the big studio. I think they were working on Gen 8 the entire time, and they let the secondary people work on.
Yeah, I think Gen 8's been in the works for years.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I think it makes sense that this time around, when they show off this game, that's going to be a big point. It's a bit like you were saying, Brandon. This game is going to be the best looking Pokemon game yet by far. So it makes sense to have that as a highlight, and maybe that is a part of the initial reveal.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Fingers crossed.
I just feel like Switch is a whole different beast than the 3DS, and I feel like you can't come out and show some like basic concept art and think people are gonna be happy. Like, no, we're not gonna be happy. But I think maybe that works back on the 3DS. Yeah, maybe that's how you did it. But this is the Switch, people. We expect more. Like, we know on the 3DS that we're not gonna see a game that's gonna surprise us and blow us away. We know what we're in for. On the Switch, we're like, oh, there's so much potential. We need to see that potential.
It is possible. But I also want to highlight the fact that Fire Emblem, right? The Fire Emblem team's working on handheld games for years, right? And you look at that game, it looks good, but it's not mind-blowing by any measure, right?
No.
Not to me, at least. I wonder if Pokemon will be similar, like because I mean, they did have Let's Go, so Let's Go's kind of like that buffer, right? So maybe they can definitely take it to a much bigger level with this one.
Yeah, and they have Town. That looks great.
Yeah,
there's some things about it that don't look as advanced as I'd like, but it's not a mainline. It's a new IP. It's a smaller title, and that game looks like you look over the vista in the beginning part of the trailer with a big castle in the background. Like, that looks impressive. That looks nice. The textures are super clean. It looks detailed. The only thing I would say that doesn't look good is like the grass is very pixelated. But that's like a very small effect, and they could change that by release. Everything else, like I did a graphic look at that when I was talking about how Gen 8 might look, and I thought that game looks great. It's a very simpler, clean art style, but it looks fantastic. And seeing that gives me hope for Gen 8 to look good, because I don't think we're going to see something. I think we're going to see something really clean, maybe a little. It's on the simpler side because it's Pokemon. We're not going to see.
We're not going to see
those. Yeah, we're not going to see those Unreal Engine 4 things that people keep coming up with. But we're going to see something that's a clean art style. It's going to look impressive. It's not going to be like, oh my god, this is I can't believe that Red Dead Redemption. Screw that. We got Pokemon Gen 8. Like, no, but it's going to look nice. Like, we're going to be like, oh, this is a great looking game.
Yeah, I'm sad because my joke didn't go through. I said butt mapping. That
Oh, I
bump
didn't.
mapping.
Oh,
Yeah.
I actually didn't. Yeah. I just kind of my
remember
brain
years
filled it
ago,
what it was supposed
I
to be.
showed my dad like images from a Nintendo Power magazine of Super Mario Galaxy, and I'm like, look how great this game looks, and he's like, it looks the same as Mario 64. I'm like, what do you mean?
Oh my God.
Can't you see all the bump mapping? He's like, oh, butt mapping. Like it
But-
started trolling the
yeah.
hell out of me.
Dude, bump maps. That was a big thing when they first came out.
Yeah, it
Just
was a big
actually
deal.
giving like texture to things instead of it being like
I
flat. blur.
remember on the Wii, the discussion was, oh, can the Wii do normal mapping, right?
Come on, the Wii can do normal mapping. Like
It could, but it wasn't always used. Like
was close.
it was a point to be made that the Wii could do normal mapping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the GameCube tried to emulate sort of things like that towards the end. Of course, it couldn't do it perfectly, but it like games like the Xbox, like even the original Xbox started doing things towards the end. So yeah.
And just for those who don't know what bump mapping and normal mapping are, my layman understanding of it is basically it's just a technique that they use to apply a texture that looks like it has depth. And normal mapping is like a higher res version than bump mapping. That's like my basic understanding of that.
I used it in Blender, and essentially what it is, it's a map that you go through it, so you get a texture, and then you get like a normal map, and you fill in exactly where like the depth of a texture. So if you flipped a normal map, it literally just be like bumps and stuff, and it's literally just that way. So the light. When light interacts with it, it knows the depth, and it goes, and it interacts with it in a way that makes sense instead of just being like a
great
flat
example is like if you remember Mario Galaxy, like that initial reveal trailer when you see the giant lava dude, the lava octopus with the crown, and you see like the stadium he's on, like you could see like white parts that are like the light. It's a black like stadium, but like there's light from the sun that shines off like that. I'm pretty sure that was normal mapping.
Yeah. I mean, look at things like A Link's Awakening. There's a lot of specularity, a lot of like shininess to the ground, but it's not like in a flat way. It's in a very like bumpy way, textured look. It's normal mapping.
Okay, cool. So, random graphics.
One person that cared about our normal mapping explanation. There you go.
Oh, but butt mapping. Yeah. So, Sabbath had an interesting question. Since Nintendo and Microsoft are the only ones that are going to be at E3, do you think they'll have something to announce together? My answer is no.
No, yeah.
I don't think, but hey, if it happens, I ain't complaining, right?
Yeah.
Especially if they announce Banjo for Smash DLC or something, or
yeah, boy.
Minecraft Steve maybe. Like
no,
it's possible. It's possible, maybe. But anyway, just one last thing to kind of bring it back to what I was asking a little bit earlier. Gut feeling. Because I do think you believe that there will be some sort. You think there's a good chance there will be a reveal to some extent this month. Gut feeling. What day do we hear about Pokemon?
Oh God, I don't even know.
Mastermind saying maybe it'll hint to Gen 8 this week, but not a whole lot, but just a tidbit for maybe the new starters. Maybe. Right. I don't think they'll actually reveal the starters. Usually they save that for a later date. To reveal the stars, unless there is like a gameplay trailer. If there's a gameplay trailer, then hey, I would say that's like.
I feel like the first thing we'll see of the game won't actually be a gameplay trailer. I think it'll be what they call an in-engine trailer, which is you see the game, but you don't actually see them in a gameplay way. Like you see like a camera flying over the landscape, sort of thing.
Okay. Well, anyways, just gut feeling. Give me a date.
Okay. When is Pokemon Day?
When is Pokemon dead?
Day. I need to know when Pokemon Day is.
Oh, I'll go. Let me refer to the calendar. It is on Wednesday, the 27th.
Wednesday the 27th. Okay.
To give you a bit of perspective, I predicted 2 different potential release reveal dates. This week, this Thursday on the 21st, a Pokemon Direct, or right before Pokemon Day festivities on 27th, the Wednesday afterward.
Okay. I don't think
to add a bit more perspective. Actually, we did maybe get a tease from Game Freak Twitter. There was a post of a Pokemon Go image, which normally doesn't happen, and it had a Weedle and he had 226 candies. 2/26, February 26th. Some people think that might be a tease for the day before on Tuesday, which would be such a real weird time to have a Pokemon Direct. But if they're having directs on Wednesdays, why can't it be on a Tuesday? Unless it's not even a direct, it's just like a trailer drop.
Yeah, it could be trailer.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go with the day before then.
Day before what?
Day before Pokemon Day.
26th.
Yes.
Is that your final answer?
It's my final answer.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You don't want to call a family or friend. You don't want to use the 50-50.
Let me just call up the director of Pokemon real quick. Let me ask him.
All right.
We're good friends.
Wrong answer. The $1 million is mine. Okay. Yeah, 26 I think is fairly likely actually because of that tease. I don't know because it seems like a very like a Pokemon Go image with a Weedle, 226 candies.
Is the Weedle important? I don't know.
I don't know, but the 226 candies might be. Right.
Okay.
That 226 kind of
What was the
sense.
purpose of them uploading the image? Just for fun?
We could double check. Pretty sure it's just for fun. Okay. Let me see real quick. I'm supposed to end the discussion already, but
that's fine.
It's after hours.
When are we ever on time? Looking. I'm not seeing. How far back was this?
Look up Game Freak, bro.
Oh, is it on Game Freak's Twitter or Pokemon's
Game
Twitter?
Freak.
Oh.
Maybe they deleted the tweet. They deleted the tweet. It must be real. You know, I don't. Oh, there it is. On February 14th. Oh, I'll open it up for you guys. Hold on. I'm translating the tweet first. There we go. This is the tweet in question, my friends. On February 14th, the day after the Nintendo Direct. Good morning, everyone. It's cold today, too, so I want to eat something warm. Lol, I got a $B for a long time now, laughs.
You got a Waldie after a long time. Okay.
Okay, so 226. There you go. Is that the tease? 226 equals direct confirmed. This is a confirmed direct though. Pretty much confirms the Pokemon Direct at this point. All fingers are pointing towards Pokemon Day, and now this. What? What is this? Slow Kim, Vespiquen, Pokemon Ray and Reina, Lendario, Insecto Venano, Anuncio. This is in Spanish.
It's apparently number 4. So apparently Pokemon 416 is Vespiquen. Pokemon 199 is the King one, I guess.
So King and Queen because of the Crown and Scepter rumor. I don't know. That's.
I don't know about all this.
That feels like a really big stretch.
Yeah.
But you never know, guys. And just to see perspective of the tweets, I don't know. It's always. I don't translate tweet. I don't know. It's weird. But yep.
But go ahead and follow Game Freak quick.
Anyways, that's pretty much it, guys. Hopefully there's a Pokemon Direct this month or something like that. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. Historically speaking, they've always revealed the new generation. Well, I should say always. But since they started having worldwide releases, which is basically the last 2 generations, they reveal them early in the year. Yep. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, anyways, everyone, thank you so much for listening and watching. If you're new here and you love Nintendo content, make sure to subscribe. Leaving a like would also be greatly appreciated. And also, check out Brandon from What About Nintendo. He's pretty cool.
I am pretty cool.
Usually.
Yes.
Alright. Bye, guys.